Like most good companies, yeah, start off in a basement. Peterson Lowe, no different.
It's been 3 years in the making.
Who actually is Elliot Lowe? Yeah, they probably see the Peterson Lowe and they're like, what the hell is that second piece?
But this isn't really a team, though. We don't have a team. It's just two guys doing their thing.
Even just outside of like how well we collaborate or our friendship, that's what really value-wise, I think lined us up perfectly. I was able to bring a good amount of experience and problem solving to the table. And then you have such a knack for like scaling and automating stuff because you've built, a business already before.
This is what I wanted to do. Video, social media. I just didn't know how to do it quite yet. And then it was also hard to find someone that was like young enough that would truly understand it culturally.
That no nonsense consulting kind of approach is really, the brand that I wanted to establish. But yeah, man, I mean, I think the best thing to start off with is just how we kind of got here. And I think, some people, they might just see it, as us throwing some stuff together. But really, I mean, we started this, at least idea of Peterson Lowe, joining together, man, pre-COVID.
Yeah. What was that? I don't know when you left Lisa's team.
This was, man, I mean, I left her team, I think 2018, 2019, like early 2019. And within like months afterwards, we were like talking about it.
Yeah.
And I remember when you brought it to me, and I think I was like in such a like single guy out of a relationship kind of phase.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, just like business wise, because I was like,
oh, metaphorically.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought,
metaphorically, because I'm like,
cut that out.
Oh, I don't care.
Yeah.
You started crying in here like 3 minutes in. But yeah, I remember like just looking at it like a guy like fresh out of a relationship and was like, oh, yeah, no. Yeah. And like immediately was like, no, that's not going to happen. And then like after some time went by and we talked about it even more, I think for both of us, it actually panned it out even better. Because like I'm a firm believer that like living situation wise, everybody should live like by themselves for a year or two or more. Because you just grow a lot more. You learn a lot more about yourself. So I feel like the same thing like for our businesses. Like we both came from teams, went off, did our own thing for a little bit, built up what we wanted to. And then after a while though, you almost you want to be able to like build that up with somebody else too.
Right.
So then like the more we talked about it and started really taking it seriously, because we both love to joke around a boatload, like it just started falling into place pretty simply. Yeah. And that's for me what's just been so interesting about like building this up a little bit thus far is how kind of simplistic it's been.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know for you and like in your point of view how like kind of getting to here looked like, but for me, yeah, that's really all it was just giving it time, letting us do our own thing, because I feel like we're both really independent.
Yeah.
And then finally getting to a point where it just made sense timing wise and everything else fell into place.
Right. Yeah. For me, it was what'd you say, 2018? I forget.
Yeah, I think late 2018, early 2019 is when we started throwing it around.
I think it was 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I joined. Yeah, that's right. I joined real estate October of 18. Yeah, so that would make sense. October of 18. Then I was an arts team for a year. Or was it 2020?
Because 2020 COVID kicked off.
Yeah.
In February.
It may have been 2020.
You think?
I think so.
I thought it was pre-COVID we started talking about it.
It could have been. No, I think it was 2020 because I was an arts team for over a year. Yeah, that's what. Okay, so I was an arts team for over a year. I remember now. I was an arts team for over a year. I'm going to say that like 9 more times. And what happened was it was December. Yep, okay, here we go, timeline. So I started real estate October of 2018. I was an arts team for a full calendar year, definitely started getting in the swing of things. And then by summer of 19, I left his team because I always told him I wanted to do things, make my own name, blah, 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 blah. And then I realized in those 6 months how lonely real estate is. And on top of that, we were just doing a bunch of different things. Like this is what I wanted to do. Video, social media. I just didn't know how to do it quite yet. And then it was also hard to find someone that was like young enough that would truly understand it culturally from like an age aspect. You know what I mean? Like, don't get me wrong. He knows all this stuff inside and out. But from a cultural aspect of millennials, Gen Z, there's just something different. It's like being in high school in the 80s or the 90s. Like, you know if you're in it versus like the theoretics of stuff. You know what I mean? Not that we were in high school at that time. So
Yeah,
your
yeah.
stories, but we won't know unless someone's like, back in my day, we saw this kind of a thing. So that's kind of where my head was going. And then when I was doing those buyer guides things, what do we even call those? Home buyer guides, right?
Yeah.
When I was making it in my basement, I'm like, man, this could be so much cooler if I had somebody else to bounce ideas off of. So that's when I kind of saw that you left, and I was like, he's a young dude. He's the only young guy that I know in real estate. Let's see what we can do. So that's kind of where my head was. I was like a lonely sucker, and I wanted a friend. And no, just kidding. But so that's what happened. That's how I remember it. I was making it in my basement, and we were having that conversation from that day. That's what I remember. Everything was just coming to a crash.
Yeah.
Just together. And that was my first, where people say you got a plan for the following year. I was thinking to myself, yeah, what if I partnered with someone? Yeah. So that's where it all stemmed from, 2020. Because it was such a struggle. That's why I made the buyer guides. Because I was so freaking busy of summer of 2020. I'm like, I got to automate this shit and figure out an easier way to do this stuff. So that's why that whole month of December, I just scripted, recorded, created the whole thing.
Yeah. Like most good companies, yeah. Start off in a basement.
Yeah.
Peterson Lowe, no different.
Yeah, no, exactly. So I think that's the timeline. So it's been 3 years in the making.
Yeah. Gosh, that's so funny when you put like a number on it of years. Yeah. That is so wild to think of. And then it's so funny you bring up like the scripting and like the video aspect and all of it too, because we've been rehashing all of that and doing it now. Yeah. And I can now see what you were looking for and all that too, because it is so much more fun when you get to collaborate with somebody else on that kind of stuff. Like we each say things differently, but we find that we do a lot of the exact same things the exact same way.
Right.
So it's just like, how do we phrase it? How do we do it? And you'll throw like a curveball at me sometimes. And I'm like, that's exactly what I was looking for. And I couldn't figure out how to tie that off perfectly and present it perfectly. Here we are, so that's really been so far the most exciting part for me.
So what made you start? What happened for you for 2020 through 2023? Because like, if we're going to share this with everybody,
yeah,
no one knows your story. On my side, no one knows your story. No one knows my story on your side. So,
good point.
Start from like, if you could, how you started, where it went, what's the whole history? Because if I say, hey, listen, Andrew's a cool guy, they go, well, what qualifies him? So what's day one through today look like for you?
Gosh, day one, being, a rosy-faced 24-year-old, getting into real estate, was working for a real estate attorney at the time, and decided, why go to law school, waste a boatload of money and time when I could go into real estate sales and make even better money, way less education, and more fun, not locked in an office all day. So it's a very simple choice to make, and was on a team right away as a buyer's agent. So I dove in the deep end immediately. Like, I think I had my license for about 8 days or so and was already taking clients out, which is almost a little bit dangerous.
Yeah.
Like,
I did the same thing.
How can you actually, consult someone on the biggest, asset they're buying or selling, not even a full, week into it is a little daunting. But from our side of things as, agents, it's kind of the only way to do it. You have to jump in. And if you're lucky, you have a really good network and team around you of people, so that's what I had, and was there for, 3 years. Yeah, just about 3 years, and was able to pick up a lot of great practices, a lot of good knowledge, a lot of good at just how to conduct yourself in this field. And once I felt like I was at a good place and I had my own book of clientele, it just didn't financially make sense to stay with the team. That's when I knew it was time to pull the trigger, just do my own thing. So since then, that was 2019. Since then, just been growing my own business, the way I wanted to, which has been very rewarding because you have no trigger finger. Everything you want to do, you get to do. And even if it crashes and burns, great. Okay, we don't do that again. Yep. We pivot and go a different direction. But it's been really great to do that for, 4 years now. Running my own ship has been really nice. And then in conjunction with that, basically back to 2019 is when I joined our brokerage's leadership team too. So I started off as doing compliance work for the office, just because of my legal background. I was a shoo-in for it, and it was easy, and I really wanted to understand the brokerage side of the game, just because, as you mentioned before, like, we're younger, we have a side of the business that is innate and natural to us, like the social media aspects of it and all of that, but the actual brick and mortar, like, brokerage side of things was so mysterious to me. And because of that, I was like, well, let's go get exposed to it. Let's see what it's like. I figured it would be something I would do for like a year just to kind of get the inside scoop. And here we are, years later, 4 years to be exact. And 3 of those years have been the managing broker for our office. So it's been a whole interesting experience itself too. When you're the managing broker for almost 200 agents and being responsible for them, it's daunting, but extremely rewarding.
Yeah, it's a perk in your sales pitch.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's been a very nice piece of it for sure. And yeah, I mean, it's a nice thing to be able to bring to the table of, I've been entrusted to look over and hold the licenses of almost 200 agents. It's a pretty cool feeling to be able to have. And selfishly, and for our benefit to our team now, just being able to have that experience, because when you're an agent, what most people don't understand is, outside of like your brokerage or, the state gives us some resources, you really don't have too many people just to naturally turn to. It's not like a top-down kind of business where you have a boss or something like that. Got a couple people here and there, but that's about it. So you really have to find your own people. You have to build your own team, even as a solo agent. So, for us, I've been able to, form a very big kind of team, quote unquote, of people to get experiences from.
Yep.
And when problems come up, I'm usually, out of almost 200 agents, the first call that they make, and being able to figure out the solutions to all those has been extremely rewarding. So, that's kept me extremely busy for the last couple of years, in conjunction with all my sales and everything too. And just like you were talking about before with like automating, I think that was really, even just outside of like how well we collaborate or our friendship, that's what really, value-wise, I think lined us up perfectly, because I was able to bring, a good amount of experience and problem solving to the table. And then you have such a knack for like scaling and automating stuff because you've built, a business already before. One, just in real estate, but then 2, outside of real estate, you've built businesses before as well. So I think that's where like the perfect yin and yang is kind of started coming together. I mean, really for my people, and right. Yeah, them, outside of seeing us collaborate on some videos here and there, me throwing up some reels that you've done that I like just love and like endorse.
Yeah. They
see the face, but like who actually is Elliot Lowe? Yeah, they probably see the Peterson Lowe and they're like, what the hell is that second piece? So where, how do we kind of get to this point?
Yeah, so where do I start? Background, how do I got into this? So started in, got to go way back to 2019. When I was 19, I was in cell phones for 10 years until fast forward to 28, was miserable. Cell phone industry is horrible. And Art's he's going to be in like half this stuff. Started real estate because Art lead gen called me one day. I think we talked about this way back in the day, but I'll reiterate. He calls me because he wants clients, and he's like, oh, hey, what's up, man? Long time no talk. And I'm thinking, no, he's happy that he wants to, shoot the shit, but no, he was just trying to get clients in a good way. So he tells me he's in real estate. He goes, how's the cell phone business? Told him I can't stand it. So he goes, try it out. Worst case scenario, you get an education out of it. Cool. So threw $2,000 in the pot, started, here we are today. And, it's been fun. But with him, for example, I didn't really know. There were things, he's a full he went to high school with my in-laws.
No.
Yes.
What?
Yeah. So
you guys have even deeper connection than I
so
thought.
I didn't know this. I knew Art since I was 19. And ironically, I found out. So he went to Round Lake. My wife went to Round Lake. Her parents went to Round Lake. So he's the same age as my father-in-law. Yeah, I think they played high school football together, right? So anyways, so I guess we go back that way. But yeah, going back on topic here. So the caffeine's kicking in.
Yeah.
Yeah. What the fuck was I going to say? I don't even remember, man. What were we talking about?
Slinging phones.
Yeah,
and then getting
so
into real estate from that.
Yeah, that's the nice part about editing. We can chop all this up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so anyways, learned just like you. Spent a little over 1 year with him. And then, yeah, I just knew I wanted to do things differently my way. Started getting confidence, and I could start being myself, just kind of walking that gray line, whether it's, I don't know, anything, right? So I don't really know how much I can say and how much I don't want to say. I don't know. You know me. I am me. That's the best part about it. And, so I wanted to create my own brand, do my own thing, and not have to worry about, do I say something wrong to the point where it affects his brand or, something controversial, or I swear a lot, just being myself, and I don't want to misrepresent his brand. And there was a couple other teams that approached me saying, hey, do you want to join, blah, blah, blah. And I said the same thing. I don't want to disservice their name, disservice themselves. So kind of create what I am. So yeah, that's kind of where we got to where we are today. I think we gel in that way where I can just be myself, which is really nice. And we get really similar personalities. But outside of real estate, because there's really not a whole lot to it there, we've got the salon in Libertyville on your family road, Peterson Road, Lamb Street Salon. Is there any relation to that?
No, okay. I wish. Right when you said that, I was like, oh, dang it.
Yeah, I told that to Paige. I was like, hey, our salon, was his family's way down the day, Andrew went to Libertyville.
Oregon Trail days, way back. Exactly. Yeah. We blazed the trail there. Yeah.
Yeah, so we've got a really successful salon there, which is great. And then I've got the real estate media company, which kind of blew up out of nowhere. Backstory on that was COVID. I had a listing, photographer double booked me, which kind of sucked. Luckily, I had my gear on me, took my own photos, didn't know how to edit them worth of crap, and then learned. And then I think it was Taylor. Taylor hit me up and goes, hey, I got a client. Can you do these photos? Actually, it was her mom. I lied. Her mom goes, can you do these photos for me? Because I actually was like, hey, next time you have a shoot, let me try it. It just worked out. And the next thing you know, with COVID, right, everyone's like, oh, I don't want too many people in my house. Don't want too many people in my house. So shot for one agent, then word of mouth spread, and I started shooting for all these other agents. Then I was like, this can turn into a nice little business, right? So made a few extra $100 a year. No, it turned into like a full-time income, which is pretty cool. So I learned how to leverage this office and yourself, who gives me leads all the time, which is great. And got to learn a lot of the business aspect of everything, from how else can we grow a simple photography business into something everyone likes. So, it's video, things we'll talk about later, video, floor plans, all that good stuff. And I tried to implement those things into our real estate business. How can we make the buyer's process so much smoother, the listing process so much smoother, our end so much smoother, do things that a bunch of other people here aren't doing, or anywhere, really. And not like in a negative sense, you know what I mean? But this whole thing can go on like a whole tangent, but that's me in a nutshell. I just think business all the time, and I don't know. That's really the best way to put it. My mind's everywhere, so.
Yeah. And it's so funny because when I think of why are we forming this? Why are we doing this? It's so funny hearing us both describe how we've gotten to this point, because so much of it is mirrored, I feel like, where we started off on teams, then we went solo, and you even said, I want to do it my way. I literally Frank Sinatra, My Way, that song playing in my head right now, because we're both stubborn bastards like that who want to do that. And then especially in that time of being solo, what's so interesting to me, and I didn't even think about this before, like I mentioned, I've gotten to where I'm at now because of the experience of being the managing broker of this office for almost 200 agents. You, in growing your other businesses, especially your real estate media business, you've been able to come into contact with so many real estate agents and see how they all do stuff, whether you like it or not. And it's like, okay, I don't want to do that business practice, or, oh, that is an interesting idea. I can make that even better.
Yeah.
Like, we both got so much of that in our time as solo agents that I think that we've seen how everybody else is playing the game. And we're like, well, we could keep on playing it by ourselves, or now that we kind of like really know the game well at a high level and how we can bring it even higher, I kind of want to play the game with somebody else.
Yeah.
Like, I grew up doing cross country. I played golf. Those are great games. But man, when you win as a team and with someone else, that's, I think, the most enjoyable thing you can really be doing.
You know, what's funny too is because I played baseball all my life. I think I told you this before. Japan and growing up in Japan. Oh, for your friends, grew up in Japan, right? So you play one sport. I don't know if you know this. You play one sport all year round. You don't play football in the fall, basketball in the winter, baseball in the spring. So you play like Little League. That's why the Japanese kids win Little League World Series year after year. You play one sport sun up to sundown, like 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. every Saturday and Sunday all year round. You don't play local teams. You play, and this is relevant, so stick with me. Every city has their own team. So in Japan, it's a lot smaller, right? So just imagine like the state of Illinois, granted if it was smaller, having 5 teams, north, south, east, west, and the capital city, 6 teams, and then the central, right? And then within one baseball team, there's 200 kids. You got a 5 to 7-year-old division, 8 to 10, and then 11 and 12 division, right? So, yeah, it's just one of those things where I don't know why I explained this whole thing, and I had to. This caffeine's killing me, man.
Yeah.
But, yeah. No, what happened was, so I played sports all year round, team this, team that, everything's team. And then by the time I got to the high school level where I was so good, I overpitched and I hurt my shoulder. And I'm thinking, damn, like, I went from one of the best schools in the nation for baseball at Highland Park down to Lakes where we had no seniors my sophomore year. So out of like 300 kids, there's only like, in a graduating class, there's 150 boys. How many of those 150 boys want to play baseball? I was pissed. I'm like, man, I should have taken an individual sport, because it's like your team sucks. You're not really going far. So then when college rolled around, I played college tennis. I'm like, individual sport, even though it's a team. I mean, come on, it's like golf. The number one player always makes it to nationals. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? So it was just kind of one of those things where it's like, oh, I'm out for myself. I can control what I can control. And it's kind of funny because I went into real estate thinking that mindset of like, damn, if my team's not holding their weight, it kind of sucks. No disrespect to Art, but I feel like that was kind of the sense too. Like at some point in time, like when you're on a team and someone's running the show and you're not partnerships, at some point you'll feel like I'm bringing in more value than the payout's worth. If that makes any sense. We weren't 50-50, so like not in a bad way. He was the ringleader, and I felt like I was just carrying too much weight. So at that point, I felt like I needed to leave. So, and like I said, it's not a bad thing. It's just, I mean, look at you. You came and went, right? Mm-hmm. And no bad blood or anything like that. Same with a bunch of other teams. People come and go all the time. It's a revolving door, right? So, yeah, but now that we started that business at the salon, when we first started, I'm like, damn, we're going to go 50-50 with our partners. And I feel like without having someone in charge, you're always going to clash heads, butt heads. But I've realized with a good partnership, it's kind of like not like a straight line, but one of those curves where it just gradually goes up, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And the point that I'm making is that I think now that I've seen how that grew there and how that's grown with the media business, I think the real estate aspect will just kind of do the same thing too. So I don't know how yet, but yeah, it will. So I'm starting to realize that teams, when they're built right, it works, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But this isn't really a team though. We don't have a team. It's just 2 guys doing their thing. Whatever that thing is we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Not that we haven't figured it out, but you know what I mean.
No, 100%. And it's interesting because that definitely lines up with my experience as well of like bigger teams. Yeah, a lot of times they find themselves having a revolving door of teammates or team members because after a while, especially in the real estate game, it just becomes a math equation. And like what I mean by that is like I left the team I was on because I was able to do a very simple math equation of what am I bringing in and then what am I giving the team?
Yeah.
And what is the team giving me? And plugging that all in and find out, okay, wait a minute, I'm in the red.
What'd you get out of it?
In as far like financially or what do you like just experience?
Yeah, so like it's kind of funny. You can kind of tell like our tone's changing now because I actually have a genuine question that I don't know the answer to.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I was on Art's team, I joined his team because I was all in. He was like my Jesus Christ. Like he was like my saving grace, right? It's like I need to learn from him. He teaches me this business. You get your real estate license. Like, okay, for example, let's throw Donna in the mix, right?
Yeah.
Donna is great at what she does. But I remember one conversation we had. I got my license, started here October 1st. I had my first closing by December 23rd, 2018. So within 3 months, someone having closed their first sale, it's really rare. I mean, I'm not like, you know what I mean? Like, it's rare that someone just goes in. So I learned this whole business in 2 weeks. And then once I got under contract, learned from experience with the guidance of somebody else's experience, being the teacher of not having to make my own mistakes because I got to learn from him, right? So with Art, I came in all in, and kind of our agreement was, because he didn't really promise me leads. I mean, he's like, yeah, I'll give you a few leads here and there, but it was more so education in the expense of a team split, right? So I knew that going in. But with you, because I don't really have this question to too many people, Lisa's, boom, she's up there. She's, you know what I mean? Everyone knows who she is.
Yeah, top 5 team in Lake County.
Exactly. Yeah. So she offers all these different things that I didn't get with Art. Obviously, just completely different scale. So what did you get out of her team? Was it like you're coming in for the education, you're coming in for the name, you're coming in for the resources that I was never on her team? I don't know. So what was your reasoning for being on that team?
All of the above. So exactly what you just described was a major component. I'd probably say 60% of the reason why I joined. Uh-huh. And I got all of that. The experience, the behind the curtain look at how this game works, the stuff that's not shown on HGTV, really like how the business is built. I got exposure to all of that at a super high level from, like I said, a top 5 team in Lake County.
But what does that mean, like a high level?
Well,
I was never there.
I guess just even more. So, seeing how, she handles dealing with, 28 to 35 closings, in a 6-month span. Like seeing how that gets done, seeing how, she's training, co-listing agents so they can do the listing presentations exactly the same as her. And that way then she can just focus on the high ticket clientele. Training, the listing managers and how they can do everything from the moment that we leave a listing presentation, pretty much getting that sucker contract to close, minus all the, negotiations, the things as licensees we have to do, and need to be there for. But having someone else on the back end do everything else, like just having all those resources at play was really interesting to have, first of all, as an agent, but then 2, see how that all gets built was not something I went into it thinking I was going to get out of it, but I definitely walked away with. It's just really how to scale a business to that size. So that was, huge component of it. But then 2, I got a good amount of leads at the time. I don't want to go into like too much business practice of like what she's doing, or was doing, but definitely got a good amount of leads sent my way. So got to work on conversion immediately, and almost, somewhat, I wouldn't necessarily call them cold calls, but, getting a lead on the line and being able to, have the natural conversations and the skill set to be able to convert on those type of people, I had to pick up on immediately. And I was getting those kind of leads probably 72 hours into the game.
That's pretty good.
So
yeah.
it was very, it was a dive right into the deep end kind of experience.
Cool.
So that was a major component too. And then just, it's hard to describe it, but just the sheer size of being a part of a brand like that was a really interesting and eye-opening experience too, because, like you said, you're like, everybody knows Lisa, and being in Gurnee, Grays Lake, Libertyville, Mundelein, you get around and you just see that brand everywhere. So being a piece of that was really just interesting, and it was very interesting too, like going into the solo agent side of things afterwards, and people I didn't have, any connection to, like, oh, there's like no brand right now. There's nothing like that. They don't know a thing about me. That it was very different and a very fun challenge to deal with, and really set up my own brand.
What did you want that to be?
Excuse me?
What did you want that to be?
What, my own brand?
Yeah.
Well, luckily, I've got a really big network of people I already know, and especially those who are kind of ready, willing, and able to transact. So I really just wanted my brand to be, a no nonsense professional. There's a lot of people who sell kind of the glitz and glamour of it all, the over, I think, salesmanship side of it, where I've always, especially just because of my legal background, I always fall on the consulting side of things. I'm there as a consultant and an advisor at the end of the day. So that no nonsense consulting kind of approach is really, the brand that I wanted to establish. Now, from like a design, marketing, color template standpoint, I have to bring in other people for that kind of stuff. Always have and always will. But that's really from like a brand message kind of standpoint. What I always wanted to get off to people is, sense. I'm not here for a quick check. Like, I always know that, especially in this business, if you consult and advise in the best way possible, the money always follows. Always.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, I'll bluntly tell my clients a lot, who some of which have had bad experiences with real estate agents, shockingly. I'll tell them all the time, I don't care if and when and where you transact. I really don't, because at the end of the day, I know that if I give you good advice and you wait to sell and buy for another 5 years, you're still going to enjoy your time with me over these 5 years. You're going to refer me to people. You're going to get, your family, your friends, other people to use me. And then you'll transact with me eventually.
Yeah.
I'll convert and close even more than just trying to get a quick check out of you guys in 60 days. So selfishly, even for me, like, we're financially incentivized to give the best advice possible if you're in it for the long game.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the biggest if is especially like in our industry, is because there's a lot of people who come into this for a quick buck, and that's fine. Like, you do you. It's a capitalist society we got. But if you're actually in this for the long haul, our interests are always aligned with our clients. And that's kind of the no nonsense kind of style I got, where it to me, it's very cut and dry like that. Yeah. And some people might look at that and be like, oh, it's kind of embellishing it. That's a simple black and white way I look at it.
Well, you either understand it or you don't understand it. And 2023 is really starting to show. Well, not really. It's because it's almost over. January to about, when did interest rates go up?
Last year?
Was it last year?
Oh, yeah. It was, well, just barely. It was.
When did it hit 5?
We were like 5, like October.
This year?
No, last year.
Last year, right?
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of when everyone started identifying themselves without even seeing it. Who's in it to make a quick buck? Whether it's because they want to, or it was self-inflicted because their expenses are high, or whatever the case may be. You could tell like who's in it to make the buck, who's in it for the long haul, who's doing it on the side, who's doing it pretty much on the side. Yeah, you're right. But no, that makes sense, because I made that mistake too, going back to the whole professionalism, no nonsense. I always thought you had to wear a suit. I was annoying myself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hate wearing suits, man. I like to. This is nice as it gets.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I made that mistake, and get comfortable. Speaking of which, this is how I really am.
Yeah.
for you folks, this is how I am. This is the great part. But yeah. So I had a question earlier, and I totally forgot what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and actually, it's funny you bring up like the fashion choices of all of it too, because I think everybody comes into that game thinking that. I remember like 6 months in, wearing like a full suit to, I think, like an $1,800 rental client, and not insulting those clients by any means. Love them, and actually probably still repeat clients I have today. But just remember thinking like, what am I doing?
Yeah. Well, you got to
know they're not wearing suits. They don't care about this. And I know there's definitely some agents out there who will disagree, because they just think that there's, they associate that with a level of professionalism.
Right. I
don't really. And that's, I think, again, not to keep on saying it, but to circle back to like the no nonsense side of it. Like, we are who we are, we don't wear suits to every single appointment. I don't even wear a tie ever in this business.
I'll wear them to a listing appointment.
Really?
Yeah. Not a tie, a suit.
Oh yeah. See, I'll do suits with certain clientele, like high ticket clients. I'll do that with them. Just because.
Sorry, go for it.
Oh yeah, no, I was gonna say, just because I think it's more of like, there are people who have more money are usually going to dress, nicer.
Yeah.
That's usually kind of what I see out there. But then it's funny on the flip side of it, man, some of my wealthiest clients ever, you would never guess it.
Walmart t-shirt.
Oh, yeah. Beat up Toyota from like 1985.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I think, I'm actually kind of catching myself here. I almost think, that's something that separates, rich from wealthy too.
Yeah, yeah.
Is like people who, are doing well for themselves, making some good money, like to dress very well. And so I like to kind of respect that and somewhat mirror that just to make my clients more comfortable.
Yeah.
But yeah, if I have really laid back clients or something like that, yeah, like I'm wearing something like this. Keep it easy.
You know what's really funny though is, everything we have our hands in, we're not rich by any means. Like it's hard to find, this is going to sound arrogant because I'm the person saying it, but just to get my point across, it's like we've got our hands in the salon, everything we have going on for ourselves. But it's funny because with how low our expenses are, mortgage, my car's paid off. I don't care. It's a 2013 Accord, right? My wife's got the nice car with the payment, but if I need that car, I'll take that car, right? Expenses are so low. We've got that business. She's behind the chair cutting hair. We've got this. We've got everything we got going on. Just because we don't have, like, what am I saying? Like the fanciest cars and all that other stuff. But because our expenses are so low that we don't really need to check our receipts when we go to the grocery store compared to most people. Because that's kind of like the funny saying. It's like, you've made it when you don't have to check your receipts on your, have I spent too much? Have I spent too little? It kind of just makes you really not care about a lot of shit that just doesn't really matter, if that makes any sense. Like I can go to a listing appointment, not a listing appointment, but like a buyer consult. Or if someone's like, hey, listen, I was referred to you by so-and-so, thinking about buying a house. Cool. What do you want to do? Do you want to come to here? Do you want to go to Starbucks? Do you want to grab a beer? Like, what do you want to do? And people go, grab a beer? I'm like, yeah, I don't fucking care, dude. I work for myself. Sorry, I swear a lot. And they're like, oh, no, you're cool. But when I don't, like, the confidence is there because I know I'm good at what I do. And if, like, I'm not dying for that client, like in the right way. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
If I don't get that client, great, there's going to be another one. But it's not that I don't care about the client. I don't need to kiss ass just to get it because I have that confidence. And does that make sense?
Yeah.
I know, and that's kind of what I'm thinking, like what you're getting at, minus all the ass kissing and all that.
Yeah.
So,
no, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when I think, you definitely, we have businesses that are set up, and especially like our real estate business, where we don't need every single person who's transacting to work with us. So that's where we are able to be particular about who we work with.
Right.
And yeah, if someone, especially for like a style or something like that, doesn't want to work with us, it's like, yeah, great. Then there's going to be somebody else out who can, be a shoe-in for you.
Well, my thing
perfect
is,
fit.
My thing's trust. Like, it's funny because I saw on a Facebook post the other day, like someone was saying how their client doesn't listen to them. It's that real estate masterminds group or whatever. Oh yeah, my client doesn't listen to me, doesn't take my advice. Well, why are you still working with them? Why are you showing them 20 houses? Is it really worth it? Now, I'm sure there's a price point where it's worth it, but still, is it worth the headache or for them to potentially walk away? I don't know, man. If they won't take my advice, it's like, well, why are we here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's definitely a different school of thought that I think is trending outward these days. Right? Where I've heard this saying a lot: a sign in the yard is better than no sign at all.
Oh yeah,
and that's fine.
I used to think like that.
Yeah, and I think everybody does a little bit at some point. And then I think you get to a comfortable point, like what you're talking about, where, you're not checking grocery store receipts or anything like that, where, hey, we're not, living the absolute high life here, but I'm okay. We're pretty good. There's no, like, stress. And you get to a point where, you get to be more particular about who you work with. And I'm even, I'm very, especially on the listing side, because of how much prep work goes into it, I'm very much someone who, if we're not in the same ballpark from a pricing standpoint, okay, somebody else can promise you the stars. I know the market. I know the numbers. It's what I'm a nerd and great at doing. If we're not on the same page and you're not going to be realistic and I don't think you have a ability to transact, I'm out.
Yeah, I've got so speaking of brand, because this is kind of going everywhere, right? So you know this story, but kind of. I had, telling it from the beginning, and I'll make it short as possible. So May of 2022, I listed a house in Wisconsin for a client who was a referral from a nice agent, and she wanted me to sell her parents' house. I don't think she'll ever watch this, but I don't think she really cares either. So I had to leave for Mexico for a wedding within 36 hours. I haven't packed. I had 3 photo shoots to still do that day, and that was a time where I was still editing my own photos. So imagine editing takes about 4 to 6 hours per house. I was up all night, man. It was a long thing. And I get a phone call the day prior, so that would have been 36 plus 24, whatever, 50, 60 hours, right? Prior to leaving. And she goes, hey, listen, my parents want to sell their house, but because I'm not licensed in Wisconsin, can you go up there, talk to them, and potentially list their house? Because if they want to get out for top dollar, they got to do it now. It was like a 3-acre riverfront property. Dude, that house needed so much work. It had like mom and pop electrical issues and all this other stuff. And they wanted like $500,000 for a property that we were kind of thinking no more than 400, ballpark maybe 425. And they were unrealistic. They wanted all this. They were like, hey, listen, we're not going to, if the house doesn't appraise, we're not going to drop the price. If they ask for anything to get fixed, we're not going to do it. They don't want to do anything. And I'm like, all right, this is so unrealistic. But then I thought to myself, you know what? I already drove all the way out here. And by all the way, it was like 20 minutes. And I'm like, okay, cool. I don't have any listings like I do, but they're about to close in like 2 weeks. I need to throw some advertisement out there because that's when I started testing the water with social media. I was like, oh man, this is cool. We could throw the drone up in the air, nice property, you know, all this guy had all these ideas. And yeah, I was like, yeah, this you can't list this for more than 425. You can, but maybe you can find somebody else that's going to do it. So we ended up settling on like 475. I don't know how, but I was like, damn, dude, I've been here 2 hours, like trying to convince them. They're stubborn. It ain't going to happen. So let me just say, you know what? Let's just give this a shot for 60 days. Let me just sign these papers and get the fuck out. I was like, you know what? I'll even do it for cheap, like 4% down the middle, you know, like, okay, maybe I should probably tweak that a little bit because of the whole lawsuit thing, right?
Cut around it.
But we both agreed on 2% to me, 2% to the other side. And somehow it went under contract and all this stuff. And it was the logistical nightmare of how I lost $3,000 of the commission. It was that one.
Of course it's that one.
All because, and we can tell that story another day, but it was all because I just wanted to put my sign in the yard.
Yeah.
That was it. I was like, you know what? I'm already here. It's not going to sell. I can take some photos. Cool. Call it a damn day. Expensive mistake. I mean, I didn't lose money out of it, but it was almost like, was it even worth the headache? No.
Well, time.
Well, time's
the biggest resource of all, yeah.
Time, and then I negotiated so much that while I was on vacation, I was at a wedding, right? And I was sick. I had Montezuma's. That was a lot of fun. So, yeah, imagine all that. But luckily, the agent who gave me the referral was cool because there's a whole thing with, yeah, I won't go into it. But speaking of managing brokers in Wisconsin...
Break the news here first. Yeah.
Can we or no?
I mean, it depends on when this goes. I mean, we're going to announce it to the office December 1st.
Are we really?
Yeah.
So that means it goes public then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we can leave this one till after that or something.
Dude, I'm not going to edit this thing until then anyway.
Yeah.
Well, what's today? Today is...
Oh, yeah, it's already like the 26th, 25th.
Oh, yeah, man. This ain't going to go live till then anyway.
Or we can or if we have one snippet, we can wait on that one. But, yeah, no, it's going to be exciting as well, you know, and it's funny because it's happening in conjunction with us forming a team together and scaling and growing geographically what we cover. Going to be doing the same, from the managing broker standpoint too. So, and what?
You excited?
Yes. In a...
Are you really?
Yeah, in like this is going to be a challenging kind of way. It's something new, you know, which I actually really enjoy because, you know, the one thing for me is... One, I'll always look at it from two ends of like selfishly, what's the old man here getting? Two, you know, how does this actually like impact others? As cheesy and rosy as that kind of sounds. Yeah. Selfishly, this helps us a lot in our business because, you know, where your most northern point is territory I'm not familiar with, and I don't transact or do business over there. So in a way, this is really going to force me to get comfortable with that market, really understand it, how transactions are done up there, because it's very different than our side of the border over here in Illinois. So selfishly, I look at it as a very interesting challenge.
Yeah.
It's
Well, it will make you a better negotiator. You're good. I mean, I've never done a deal with you, thank God.
Yeah.
But no, it makes you, I'll tell you, once I got licensed up there, because we don't use attorneys, it makes you a hell of a negotiator. It makes you think like a chessboard. You have to think 3 moves ahead. And then it's like, well, what if this happens? We need to prepare for this. You think a lot of that here. And something that I've noticed in Illinois, which it is what it is. Like I love it and hate it when I go against agents that go, oh, now it's the attorney's issue. And then when, I'll swindle some crap to take care of my client. And then they go, whoa, why'd you do that? Well, what are you going to do about it? I know it sounds terrible, but because we want to make the transaction work, but at the same time, it's like you need to do what's in the best interest of your client. Point that I'm getting across is that you're going to come across some crap where you're going to be like, dude, is this really how it works up here? And it makes you a better negotiator. It makes you a better planner. It makes us what's really good at our jobs.
Yeah. I could totally see that, because I feel like that's something that luckily I already bring to the table,
right? Given
my prior experience of like working for an attorney, handling real estate transactions from the moment they get under contract and get to an attorney.
Sorry.
Well, what's actually interesting about that though is exactly what you said, because I feel like I have that skill set. Now, do I have to keep that as sharp as I need to? No, because like you just mentioned, on this side of the border, so many agents will, even during regular negotiations, will be like, you know what, let's just get that piece of the attorney. Let's just execute our contract here. Let's just get it to the attorney. And they just punt. And we can only push that so far as agents. Like if they're just going to punt and get it to the attorneys and not negotiate with us, there's really not a lot we can do.
Well, you know what's funny? I'll give you an example, because if anyone's I bet a bunch of agents might watch this just because of who you are and what it is.
Both of us.
But a nice clip. I don't know if I could share it. So worst case scenario, I can edit this out. Currently under a transaction, which will close by the time this whole thing's said and done. They're listed high. They're listed at like 275, right? And I was speaking with the agent, and I've got a good relationship with this agent. And she goes, yeah, I call her. One of my tactics, I always ask what my client's permission. I say, hey, listen, I want to do whatever I can to make this work. Here's the direction I'd like to go. Are you okay with me sharing some personal information to make the transaction work? And they'll be like, yeah, sure, no problem. I say, hey, listen, it's a Saturday. We want to see your house. We're looking to move within this timeline. My client doesn't need to sell in order to buy, blah, 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 blah. So here's our cards, well, at least half of them. And she goes, yeah, no, let's make this to work. And she volunteered way too much information that I took advantage of that. Mm-hmm. And she goes, listen, we're priced a little high, and I didn't do enough homework. I'm like, yeah, you guys are priced a little high. You know what I mean? And but they're like, oh, yeah, we have a certain close date. We got to do this. We got to do that. Great. So I went back to my clients. We saw the house. And what I'm getting at with the Wisconsin aspect is in Illinois, it's just so open to interpretation that you can slash the whole transaction at any point in time. In Wisconsin, you don't have that luxury. So what's the rule on a timeline? When you present an offer, it's just within a reasonable amount of time.
In Illinois?
Right. Wisconsin, we have dates.
Yeah.
So what I told this agent was like, hey, listen, we want this house. We're going to give you a great offer for it, but there's a clock on it. So it's 2:00 in the afternoon now. You got to give us an answer by 11:59 p.m. or our offer's off the table. We don't want you to have that open house tomorrow. So because of something I learned in Wisconsin, I was able to leverage that here in Illinois. And I think that's kind of one of those little things that's going to make us so good at what we do, if not better. Again, that sounds a little cocky, but no, is it though?
No, it's a level of expertise that we get to bring. It's so it's funny you mentioned that, because that definitely makes sense. Where in Illinois, sure, there's some of it that can play to like a consumer's benefit or downfall, depending on what side of the transaction they're on.
Right.
Where you have so much more of this leeway and like fluidity.
Yeah.
That you guys definitely do not have up in Wisconsin, which I actually prefer as a professional. Yeah, or even just the ability, though, to clamp that stuff down tighter is what I wish we had more of here. Now, what's so interesting, too, is from an actual like transacting standpoint, even though we still have the same fluidity in the downtown Chicago market, we very much, most agents take kind of a no-nonsense approach down there, though, too. Stuff
they do or they don't?
They don't take or they do take a no-nonsense approach.
Gotcha.
Where even though technically like timelines and all that like won't be like written in, it just moves so much quicker down there.
That's good.
And agents, I think, tend to, I'm trying to think of the right way to say this. Like, they just tend to come with more, what's the phrasing I'm trying to think of? Like, there's specific performance in a contract, but they just bring more speed to the game, really, is
like
what it comes down
urgency?
to. Yeah, there's just way more urgency is brought to the table. Very rarely are people just sitting on stuff a lot longer. So I think, you guys luckily get to put that in black and white, make it super clear and easy in Wisconsin. We don't have that contractually, but from like a culture kind of standpoint, I see it all over the downtown market, which is cool, just to have that exposure too. And yeah, luckily for us, and this might sound somewhat arrogant, but like we get to throw curveballs at people sometimes that they're not used to trying to hit, which is really fun sometimes and can play to our clients' benefit more times than not.
I can see that. I'm trying to understand Chicago better, but it's tough. I only did one contract down there.
Really?
And it didn't work out.
It's honestly, it's not that complicated. I think if it's the same thing actually in some ways as like Wisconsin, where I feel like in the suburbs of Illinois, it's easier to pick up how the game is played. And then when you go to Chicago or you go to Wisconsin, it's the same game, but it's like leveled up a little bit. And there's just added other things you need to know or do. So, Wisconsin, obviously, you guys don't have attorneys there. So there's a lot more paperwork and logistics you guys have to hammer out. In the downtown market, luckily, actually, our paperwork's even shorter, which is better. Right. But having said that, if you're dealing with clients buying in like a high rise or something, there's a lot more with the homeowners association and the reserves and stuff like that you need to be able to understand and deal with, because they have humongous financial implications where you're not going to have that, traditionally speaking, in a suburbs kind of market where you're dealing with single family homes or even townhomes and condos you are dealing with. They don't have these, $5, $10, $20 million reserves where they've got, a whole nest egg of money there, but that money gets put towards incredibly expensive projects.
Yeah.
So, understanding that side of the game is key. And then also just, I guess the only other stuff that's a little bit different too is, and it can actually make buyers agents lazy, is that it's common that we show our listings downtown Chicago too.
Yeah, why? Is it because security or?
Well, yeah,
I'm assuming doorman too. Someone's got to let you in.
Yeah, so I think really the biggest thing is because we have so many high-rise buildings there that sure, like access and all that is not necessarily the biggest obstacle to get over. It's more of just understanding the whole building itself. So all the amenities that come with it, the financials of the building and the reserves, the HOA amount. Is there a special assessment? Are there pending special assessments or projects that the building's doing? Like there's just so much more that goes into it that you need someone there, boots in the ground, to be able to describe all that stuff and give you the full picture.
I didn't think of that. That makes sense.
That's where, and it's funny because now it kind of is taken over all over. It's not just specific to high rises. You'll see it in condos. You'll see it in 3 flats, multi-unit buildings, single family homes, all of it. You'll see, and it's not a requirement though by any means, but it's definitely common. It's just the way we transact.
No, it makes sense. Yeah, and this is why it's so important to have somebody that you can refer that knows the area versus those damn people that are like, oh, yeah, I'd be happy to help you out. And they live in Lombard and they're trying to help you in North Loop or South Loop or whatever the hell it is. I don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about. So, yeah, that makes sense. But
you can't be a jack of all trades.
No. Well, you can, but set that expectation. Like, what's his name? I mean, the dude with the listing in Vernon Hills. His buyer's agent was like, hey, is it worth me to drive all the way to Chicago to get an ink signature from the suburbs? It's like, it's your fucking job.
Yeah.
But
such a ridiculous question.
Yeah. But no, something I don't mind sharing this, but obviously it's something I got to think about too, is it's no secret for people that know me. I was actually going to leave Keller Williams North Shore West. Nothing wrong with this office in Illinois. I felt like with me wanting to branch out in Wisconsin more, I just needed more help over there. We have a presence there, but it's not nearly as what we have here. And this is like steroids on steroids on steroids. Over there, we just have like half an injection of steroids, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, no, knowing that you are actually going to be the managing broker over there with the experience that I've had here, It's just nice to have you in my pocket now. That sounded so fucking gay. But I'll chop that out.
Yeah.
But no, that's I don't know. It's whether it's something I'll share or not. But I think the transparency is important just to show people that everyone's got frustrations where they go. So not necessarily a bad thing. Like people jump ship all the time. Like we see agents going from one brokerage to another. Maybe it's a contract thing. It's like a money thing. For me, it's like my biggest thing that I wanted in 2023 was networking and education. And if I can't get one, the other, or both, it's like, cool, I've learned everything that I can here. Let me go try something else. Worst case scenario, if it doesn't work out, I know I can always come back.
Yeah.
But knowing that you're going to be running things there, whether it's compliance or something, you can get your hand in there. That's the nice part about it. I feel like Wisconsin it'll be fun again. Because before, for the longest time, it's I like not having too many like cooks in the kitchen is what I always say. Like, for example, we'll negotiate a deal, agent to agent. The next thing you know, like if I'm on the list side, this happened to me this summer, buyer's agent pawns it off to the attorney. No communication there. The attorney says the polar opposite of what the agent said. I'm like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? So at least over there we've got the control. But when I need that extra help, those little intangibles and things of that nature, it was tough to get sometimes, not because anything of the managing broker, but it's just, I don't have as many friends there as I do here.
Yeah.
So knowing that you've got the network and a reason to network with other people, I think it'll just work out better. So another reason why I'm sticking around.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and especially because we haven't had as much of a presence there in like the infrastructure set up. Yeah. And I'm with you as well, where I get annoyed when I have to make too many calls to figure out one answer.
Yeah, pulling a muscle, fuck.
Yeah.
Sorry, dude.
No, you're fine. When there's just like too many chefs in the kitchen, it's frustrating. So like it's one of those problems that you can't just throw a bunch of people at and it's going to figure itself out because it actually will probably just dig the hole even deeper. So that was a simple choice for us of, I don't think it's permanent or, going to be a multi-year thing, but I very much am. I'm excited to at least just be able to bring the skill set that I've got here, apply it up there, and at least get them on the same level playing fields. Well, because that's where I feel like we haven't been for a while,
right?
And it's just been an eyesore of we just have not committed enough, and it's not a knock against the people up there. No. We just as an office have not committed enough up there. So it'll be exciting to be able to do that and bring more value to those people because that is going to play to everybody's benefit. Like those people will get more market share. You're probably going to be doing even more up there and feeling more dangerous up there in a good way. So yeah, it just benefits everybody.
Well, let's make like one thing clear too. So the owners of this place aren't licensed in Wisconsin, and a lot of their focus is expanding here, Arlington Heights being one of them. So like, nothing wrong with it. Just throwing that out there. I mean, from a selfish standpoint, from growing this, it's only going to make it better for us. Like nothing's ever permanent, right? But knowing that the person that oversees everything here and made the experience what it is here is now branching that way, it just looks good for us.
Yeah.
So that's the nice part about it for me. So, I thought about exploring to other brokerages. I got friends at other brokerages. They're like, hey, listen, I think we can do what we're doing here really well in Wisconsin, because I got a friend over at EXP. She's great. She lives in Bristol, and she does more business here, ironically. But it just be same thing. She lives there. She's willing to drive so far north. I'm willing to drive so far south. So good fit. But I just think this is better. It just kind of makes life a lot easier. I'd rather delve more into the city rather than into, because there's only so much in Wisconsin. It's all like, what's the gummy bear company? Hybero.
Oh, yeah, Haribo or whatever.
Haribo, and you got Uline and stuff like that, But, I mean, other than that, it's nothing but farmland.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. That's just kind of where my head goes. I tell people all the time, like, it's important to have somebody that's licensed both in Illinois and Wisconsin. So, especially when they're trying to look at both sides of the border. So, it just makes it better. Personally, I just think it like that.
Oh, totally. And especially for us from a team standpoint, that's really exciting, too. It's kind of like a nice separation of church and state. Like it reminds me very much of the managing broker side of the business for me, where most of our agents transact, I don't.
Right.
So it's very easy for when they have problems or they need to collaborate with somebody, they can give me a call and there's no BS. there's other brokerages where that is kind of a worry.
Yeah.
Where, people will always have in the back of their mind, like, is my managing broker going to like take the information I'm going to give them and somehow, prosper off of it?
Well, it's funny though now, because that's kind of my approach. I think we talked about this as this is where we get to dive into like the fun stuff here. I'll throw anything out there now. I don't care. You can give as much information as you want. Like, I teach everybody how to do a podcast. It's not the prettiest podcast, but at least we have one out there. People watch it. But no one's going to do anything with the information that we do.
No.
No one's got the money to even scale what we do.
No.
You know what I mean? And they're not willing to do the time themselves. So who cares? It took me a long time to realize that, but I don't care. Like, I was just having that conversation with Chris Varsick the other day. Like, he made a comment with nothing wrong with it. He goes, well, we're not in the same area, so I don't mind sharing. And I get what he's getting at. You know what I mean? Because I think he respects me enough that I'm at his level. I thought he was way above me, and this is all speculation, of course, but he respects me enough to maybe not tell me if I was in his area, which is kind of badass. But no, I mean, dude, I tell him everything. I don't care. Anybody, But I guess my question to you would be is, I wonder what that would look like moving forward. Let's say we do a transaction in Libertyville or Round Lake or anything close by. It's like, people are going to see your face on it. People are going to see your stamp on it. I wonder what that looks like for your aspect.
Yeah, it could get interesting because, yeah, like I was saying, some people will be a part of other brokerages where either their managing broker cannot transact at all because they don't want that. They definitely want a clear separation of like church and state. They don't ever want to give off the impression like their managing broker is going to somehow profit off of, the information they're giving them or the contracts that come in. It invites some interesting situations. Having said that,
is it like a liability thing, you think?
Well,
or is it just for a competition thing?
I think it's just really competition. Gotcha. Like, there's nothing real estate like licensing act wise or legally where like you can't practice as a managing broker.
No, I'm sorry. Like I meant, for example, let's say like if you own this place and then you're competing with me, for example, and I'm like, we're both going after the same listing. You're overseeing the paperwork.
Yeah.
You see what, like, from like that could like open doors or?
I mean, it potentially could. I think it'd be more, like an ethics kind of thing where
ethics, yeah.
I guess actually a good example of too is, let's say, for example, since as a managing broker, like I review all the paperwork for the office and hold all the licenses, if I'm making an offer on one of my agent's listings and I was somehow able to, maybe they have a problem with one of the offers that's coming in. Well, who else are they going to call besides me? And they're going to tell me the specifics of what's going on, all the offers they have on the table. Sometimes even agents will give me a call about a multiple offer situation they're in.
I see.
And say, hey, what would you think about this, this, and this, A, B, and C? What would you kind of advise your client on so they can make the best choice? And I'll give them my blunt opinion.
But I guess it goes.
Well, what if I'm C out of A, B, and C? It can get interesting there. I will say.
But you need SOP to prevent things like that before it happens, though. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And we would come up with all of that. And the nice thing too is, I have to think that, and I'm, not trying to sound too arrogant, but I think I have provided enough examples to people over years now where that's not the game that I play of doing that kind of shady stuff. Yeah, I very much take, my reputation, my word, like to the utmost importance, just like with my clients, same thing with all the agents here.
Yeah.
So I don't really think that's going to be a big issue. And again, I've been super transparent with, everybody. It's just the way I conduct my business. I don't think it would ever get to a point where people would get upset and not let me know about it. And if it did become a problem, then I would just readjust my business.
Yeah, I think internally, I don't think it'd be a problem. But like, I'm thinking, not that I care. I mean, I care in the sake of caring, but it's not my business, so it is what it is. But I'm thinking, let's say the office tries to recruit someone from another brokerage. I guess they could take issue with it because we've had people coming from other brokerages. Like, I'll throw Corey not under the bus, into the mix. Under the bus was a horrible term. He had a mindset coming in, like, I don't shoot the shit, I don't talk to a lot of people. Totally different man today. I learned a lot from him. But, you have someone with a closed offer, different cultural mindset now. But I guess that's not really our issue.
No, yeah, I think from like an office standpoint, culturally, yeah, I don't worry about that at all because I think most of our agents are a complete open book.
Yeah.
And I think most of them actually take the same mindset, you and I do that you
Yeah.
talked about earlier of like, yeah, I'll tell you anything and go for it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm also like a firm believer too of like if I'm sharing, how I do my business with somebody, well, I already have an immense head start. So if you ever get to the point of beating me out, good on you.
Yeah.
Like tip of the cap to you, sir. Like you earned that. So I don't really, I don't concern myself with that too much at all. And I don't know if it's an arrogance thing, but to me, it's like, yeah, I'll show you all my cards and game on.
Yeah.
Let's do this. Because I still think I'll get it.
Something that I'm excited for is not changing the game, but I see a lot of, I don't know if you noticed this. I noticed a lot of like big time hitters leaving or scaling back or getting like full-time jobs or whatever, best of luck to them and all that good stuff. But something that I'm excited for is taking things that I brought, from a marketing standpoint, because we're going to have our own in-house marketing team, which is cool. Photography, floor plans, like the whole 9 yards. And something I was always a firm believer in was bringing the whole 9 yards to the biggest listing you'll ever have in your career down to the littlest guy, right? What do you think is where the benefit comes in? Like if we had to explain to the public what's important when it comes to marketing material, what's important and why? I know it's such a vague question, but like, for example, we're going to be doing, professional photos, floor plan, Matterport, 3D tour for people that don't know. Where do we get the edge compared to a lot of people?
It's multifaceted for sure. I think the easiest way to put it is one, exposure. I mean, is going to be at a higher level than most agents who I think just take kind of a passive marketing kind of effort where it's like, hey, yeah, I'll maybe call a professional photographer, maybe take pictures on my phone, put it up on the MLS, and that'll syndicate out, which is great. And let's see what happens. Where our approach, I mean, obviously is a lot different than that because we have the ability to do so. We can do, the highest value professional photography. We can do video, drone, Matterport, and 3D tours, floor plans, give one, as much exposure out there as possible, but two, like arm the consumers out there, which as much information as they need to make decisions.
Yeah.
I can't stand when I'm with like a buyer and we'll, be looking at a listing and I'm looking at the pictures and I'm like, oh, there's no floor plan. There's like 7 photos up right now and they're all iPhone photos. Yeah, let's just go see it and we'll see if it kind of fits. And within 30 seconds of being in there, oh, the floor plan's completely out of whack for what they're looking for.
Yeah.
We've all wasted our time now.
Yeah.
And that experience of what that seller is getting, even though they don't know it, is really, it's just hurting them in the marketplace. Where obviously with our clients, that's not going to be the case.
Right.
Only serious people are going to be, seeing our listings. They're going to be getting, even more exposure than just, sites that the MLS syndicates out to.
Yeah.
It's going to be up on social. So even people who might not even be in the market right now, that kind of exposure might actually get them interested to get into the market. And luckily with the rest of the way we have set up our socials, with the information we put out, the education we put out, our awesome lender partners that we've got too, being able to fast track all that stuff, we can get somebody who's out of the market into the market extremely quickly too.
Yeah.
So it's just those added layers, man. It's like it's like, to quote, the really intelligent Shrek, it's like an onion, man. There's layers.
Everyone has an obsession with Shrek. My wife's obsessed. I don't get it.
Speaking of blowing up socials, they're killing it. I don't know if it's somebody at Pixar or what, but I feel like every like meme or like
There's like a
Instagram reel I see is Shrek.
page. Yeah.
Yeah. Like Snapchat filters, all of it. So we're going to Shrek the real estate industry. No. But yeah, I mean, that's really the best way I can, describe it to people is it's just these added layers and touches that most people wouldn't think of.
Yeah.
It's just going to give you even more of a competitive edge, which you really drastically need in the market that we're in right now as well.
That's true. We have a lot of power moves though, and people don't realize it. What I mean by power moves is, like for example, Carrie, when I sold her house, did you ever bring lenders with you to open houses? Because I would bring Sly all the time.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
So, no one ever is good at explaining why they do things, right? Like for example, professional photos, why? To highlight your house, right? And the list goes on. But I always bring the lender to the open houses, which value proposition for anybody watching. I think it's important, right? Because a lot of people, if I bring a lender and someone's like, oh yeah, we thought about it, and he's not a pressure kind of guy. He's more like, let me just lay everything out here. What's it going to hurt? And if you like it, great. If not, I won't bother you. I won't call you. But things like that. What did you say before a couple days ago? The hook and conversion?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it sounds like a sale pitch, but we're good at, for our sellers, giving every option possible. So if someone comes through, the right fit comes through, they're either ready to pull the trigger or something else is stopping them, right? So something that, I don't know, I've always told people in the past was, dude, this one pissed me off so much. What was it in 2021? Everyone's like, oh my God, got 30 showings. It's like, who fucking cares, right? I hated that because I've had sellers go, dude, oh my God, I had this one seller who was like, we only had 8 people come through this weekend. Why is that? I told you during our listing presentation that, there's a reason. Well, yeah, so-and-so, they had, like a neighbor or someone I didn't know with like another company, listing-wise. They're like, oh, yeah, we had 30-something people, and our house looks nicer. Granted, it was, but all they had were photos. They were nice-looking photos, don't get me wrong, but, yeah, I think that's important. Like, I mean, I don't know. I'm just kind of spitballing here, but you can tell it just irks the shit out of me when people are like, oh, yeah, we had this much traffic. How come we didn't get that many people? It's like, that's not what we bring to the table. You want to leave your house 30 times? Cool. Just go on vacation for 3 weeks and I'll leave the door unlocked. Or 3 days. Leave the door unlocked so anyone can just come through. But
well, it's a perception versus reality kind of thing is like my best view on it because, and I don't know if it's like the HGTV, it's, agents highlighting the things they probably don't need to be highlighting. But yeah, it's like, okay, we got like 30 showings. How many buyers do you need to buy that home?
Yeah, just the one.
Yeah. So why, like, if I don't care. And if anything, like for, sellers who are like still occupying their home, it's like, yeah, I'd rather get 5 good showings than 50 mediocre, lukewarm kind of showings.
Yeah.
What does that do for you? Especially you just mentioned leaving your home too. It's like, yeah, I'd rather have you just leave your home for a couple hours, get all 5 or 6 showings done and get multiple offers for you than 30 over a long weekend and maybe an offer or 2, maybe multiples as well, if it's still the same kind of terms, but like, wouldn't they want that as well? Sure. Just those sheer numbers sometimes don't always equate to the results that people want.
Yeah.
And that's where I think most agents shoot themselves in the foot by not, like, they just throw out these highlights where actually educating your people on how it works is better.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, let's trim down on the window shoppers out there for you. Right? Like, that's where, again, like the higher level type of marketing and getting Matterports, getting floor plans out there. I don't want someone coming over to one of our listings and being like, oh, they really liked the home, but the layout is not for them.
Yeah. Well, that makes us look bad. We get so many showings and we don't get an offer. Our clients goes like, well, what's wrong with our house? Yep. Or for us, it's like, why isn't our house sold yet? But speaking of numbers, what do you think 2024 is going to look like?
In what way?
Anyway.
So, well,
here's my thing real quick. I'm sorry. I asked you a question, but like from like a consumer standpoint to a seller standpoint to also a buyer standpoint. And then you got the whole damn thing with the whole like lawsuit thing. So for example, like one of the things right now everyone's talking about is utilizing credits because we're starting to get back into the whole like credit situation.
Yes, we are.
Right. Something that I've been doing was buying down interest rates. So many people bitch about interest rates, which is cool, right? Well, let's dwindle that down a little however we can. So I've been buying down interest rates with seller credits, right? But I think once spring rolls around, I don't think that's going to be a thing anymore. So I just think there's going to be multiple bids again. I don't know. I think it's not going to be as dramatic, but what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, so from the consumer side of things, I'm with you. Yeah, I definitely see we're going to have probably to like 2025, we're going to have inventory issues.
Right.
and we're most likely, I don't care where rates go to, we're going to have a good amount of demand. That's not going to be able to hit that inventory. Yeah. It's as simple as that. I know that, you'll go find some people on, TikTok, Twitter, whatever, talking about market crashes and all of that. But if you can point me to where there's going to be a boatload of distressed sales flooding the market, that crash is not going to happen just yet.
Well, every market's different too. Like what we have going on in downtown Chicago is so different from the suburbs. And I don't think a lot of people realize that, because I fucking hate, I hate when clients like Google strategies or market trends or whatever, and then they come tell me and I'm like, cool, where was the article written? Idaho. Okay, great.
Yeah.
You want a
absolutely
potato farm, or do you want like a 4-bedroom, 2-bed house?
Yeah.
4-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, who would have thought that a structure that's built on a piece of land would end up being a hyper-local asset? Like, people just equate, because I'll even have, clients who really, really bright individuals who will forward me some headlines out there, and I have to remind them that, real estate's a very hyper-local game. Just because, the market right now in maybe Miami has a really sexy headline of that, sales prices are down X percentage. Okay, but have we looked at, our market over the last couple of years here? We've taken some gains for sure.
Yeah.
From an appreciation standpoint, but not nearly the drastic ones that Austin, Denver, et cetera, have taken. So, of course they're going to start correcting a little bit. Yeah. And we might have a variance of a little bit of correcting there, but I don't foresee that happening for quite some time because we just don't have the inventory for it.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side of things, and this is where I think agents do a really poor job of like educating their people, is when agents or those of us who are in the industry talk about the market, you have to make sure you differentiate between, like, are you talking to consumers? Are you talking to agents? Because they're very different markets. Yeah. Like, I think right now, and especially the next year that we're going to go into, it's going to be another tough year for real estate agents. It's going to be, probably dwindling down of the amount of agents who are out there practicing. There's going to be maybe just as many transactions, maybe slightly more as this year, but not nearly as much as the last couple of years. That's going to, when there's only so much of a pie to be split up, some people are going to leave the table.
Do you ever give financial advice to people?
No, not really. I mean, unless it's like super basic. Like I'll tell like every real estate agent that, hey, whenever you get a commission check, you don't think about spending more than 40% of that sucker.
Well, what about like buyers and sellers?
Oh, I'll give them the basics for sure as well. And it depends though on like, how far into uncharted territory that goes into.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like, we have to really, walk a fine line on what we can say and what we can't say. Having said that, I'll definitely give people the best advice I can, and then always tell them, hey, corroborate this stuff, though, with your accountant, your financial advisor, whatever.
Yeah. I tell them as friends.
Yeah.
And then say the same disclaimer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Makes sense.
And it really just depends on, where people are trying to transact, because even right now, like we've seen, it's like, why would I, buy and sell in a high rate environment right now? It's like, well, we can use credits to buy down your rate right now.
Yeah.
Probably gets you somewhere close to where rates are going to be early next year anyways. So if it's better timing wise for you right now, and let's say, you can sell your home for more, or you can jump in before there's more bidding wars next year on a home on your purchase. Yeah, it might make sense to do it right now.
Yeah.
But that's where you and I think, are so lucky too, because we can give that really blunt piece of advice. I don't need a sale from somebody right now.
Yeah. No,
if they want to transact a year down the road from right now, I don't care.
Yeah.
Great, whatever you want to do. And I can tell you if I think it's in your better interest to do it right now or not, and I'll give you my blunt opinion.
Yeah.
But I'm afforded that bluntness because we're fortunately not reliant on, paycheck to paycheck.
You ever come across people that just don't have enough cash?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I would say most buyers that I've dealt with over the last 2 years don't, and a lot of people are getting gifts. A lot of people are getting family gifts. Then in certain price points, people are definitely getting down payment assistance as well. Yeah. Obviously, you got to meet income requirements for all of that. But, on the flip side too, I can't tell you I've seen, man, so many people with cash on hand the last couple of years. It's bonkers. I don't know.
They have?
I don't know if you and me were just the only suckers who didn't get those PPP loans during COVID or what.
Yeah.
But so many people have cash on hand right now.
Yeah.
It's wild to me.
I come across people that either have a lot of it or have none of it.
Yeah.
You know, but at the same time, I'm friends with them on Facebook, and it's like, they're also the same people like, oh, what kind of Black Friday deals do they have? And it's like, do you really need that new laptop? Do you really need this? Do you really need that? And then I'm realizing why they don't have any cash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in our age demographic too.
Yeah.
You get a lot of that of people who are living month to month, and especially what I have found, and I'm no tax or financial advisor, but you find a lot of people who are making really good money who still, are living month to month.
Yeah.
And it's because their lifestyle and their wants and needs just keeps growing with their pay bumps.
Yeah.
And that thing's just going to come to push to shove eventually.
We're guilty.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I totally was my first couple of years in this game. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We spent like 50 grand on traveling this year.
Hey, timeless and priceless experiences.
Yeah.
No.
But no,
I mean, no, honestly, though, that does happen. And there's a flip side of it too, where again, I'm not a financial advisor, but man, you only get one life. What if you want to be just slinging in an office all day and that's it? Hey, more power to you.
Well, yeah, we didn't buy a bunch of useless stuff though. We actually travel. Granted, a little backstory on that. We didn't do anything from 2020 all the way through 2023. We didn't travel last year. Everything was, we wanted to go to Japan, but they didn't open the borders until literally when we landed. Like I told you, right? We had with the booster shots and everything, you had to have all the COVID shots and the boosters in order not to have a COVID test, but we didn't do our boosters. So we had to go to CVS, get the test. So they go through the drive-through, they make you do the swab. But when we got to the airport, they're like, oh, the Ministry of Health says you have to have specific things written on your test. Well, it said self-administered. They're like, you can't get on this flight, dude. You can't do self-administered test. And we're like, oh, no, that's just a translation error. So they're like, all right, well, okay, cool. So Paige is doing her research or whatever, trying to see what kind of tests passed. They let us onto the plane, but we're thinking, oh, when we get there, they're just going to turn us right back around. So Paige is having a panic attack for 13 hours going, we're going to take a 26-hour flight there back, essentially. I'm sleeping.
Oh,
but
no.
Yeah, so we hit customs, and we're like, all right, moment of truth. We're going to find out if we get in or not. It's not like O'Hare where it takes 2 hours. We get in within 30 seconds. We're through the door, and we're literally sweating bullets in the middle of April, right? And we're just like, oh, that was it? Yeah, then we come to find out when my mom picks us up, oh, yeah, mid-flight, you're probably over Alaska, and they just waived all the COVID restrictions 11 days prior to what they were supposed to do. Yeah, so we got so lucky. But
you guys probably look like smugglers walking through there just sweating bullets. Yeah. And you're worried about a COVID test. Yeah.
But no, the point I'm getting across was COVID, she was shut down, thanks, Pritzker, for 3 months. And then, I was the one making all the money because we were essential, right?
Yeah.
And then we just saved cash for a whole nother year just to open the salon because we did like an SBA loan, if you know anything about those.
No.
It's pretty much like the FHA of business loans.
Okay.
But you put 10% down, so we're thinking 10% on a salon project's not cheap. So, we saved up money all year for that. So we didn't do anything fun. We're like, we can't go anywhere anyways, and everything's shut down again. Well, didn't shut down, but you have to mask up again for another 3 months, a year into it. So we're like, what's the point? So yeah, we just saved all that money. So I guess if you divide all that money in the allotment of 3 years, it's no different than what a lot of other people spend on traveling.
Sure.
Maybe. But
well, and like you said before too, though, and it's not to brag, but you guys have set up a very good foundation for yourselves. You guys, your car is completely paid off. Chilling on that thing from 2013.
Ground, dude.
Yeah, you're running that sucker into the ground.
Yeah.
Mortgages low, all that kind of stuff. You guys have built a really good foundation for yourselves. So yeah, if your numbers do sound high to anybody, it's well, you've worked to get to that point.
Yeah.
And that's what I think, I definitely take, that's somewhat a mentality as well, where I got a good amount of nice things, and I don't feel guilty about it because I work hard for it.
Like those golf clubs.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, only the finest, except my driver. I'm definitely going to get a new driver here soon, but that's
Bridget,
just
Christmas.
Yeah, that's because my driver is terrible right now. So it's definitely the equipment and not me.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, no, there's nothing wrong with that kind of stuff. It is annoying though from like, you almost feel like a father to your clients, like sometimes where you see these people making good money and yeah, they can't scratch like 2 nickels together. And you're like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, we got to get you on a plan so you can transact and get out of this kind of cycle that you're stuck in right now.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's when I got to get them over to an advisor further. But yeah, it's tough to see that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because our generation is grossly guilty of it.
Yeah. I think, you know, I'm starting to realize too, every generation's guilty of it. Like, I think, I always have this like saying where it's like, once you're 18 years old, you're a fucking adult. Whether you're immature or not, I've seen immature people that are like 55, 60. They, you know, they just, you're either raised right or you're not raised right. Or it's like, you know, you learn those behaviors and you're a good person or you're a shitty person. There's no in between, you know? But I just think too many people buy what they can't afford. Like real estate agents, perfect. I was talking to Paige about this the other day. I think a lot of people fail because not only because they just don't know how to run a business, and by the time they figure it out, the expenses are due again. They're like, well, fuck that. It ain't worth it. But I think the other thing too is so many people come into this business with so much baggage already. You know, whether you've got like kids aren't baggage, but they're expensive. You know what I mean? Or, you know, they got that mortgage or they got that car payment or they got all these other things and they don't realize how much time it takes to like build this business that, and then they go out and buy stupid things too. Like I see so many people with like the latest iPhone and I'm like, what'd you have before it? iPhone 14. Well, what the fuck, dude? You know what I mean? It's like, do you really, what are you doing with that $1,500 phone when the only app you need is text and phone? Yeah. That's like 95% of your usage. Yeah. Well, I make TikToks great. Dude, I've seen them. They're shit. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? I've got an iPhone 13 here and it works perfect. Well, minus the battery, you know, but, I think that's the biggest problem, especially with consumers too. They, you know, they just, so when I was asking about financial advice, that was kind of the thing. Like I had a client that I helped, a good friend, you know, from high school. I told him, I did the math. I'm like, you guys are renting now. Yeah, but they want to buy a house. We had that conversation like 2020. I did the math. I'm like, you guys realize for how much money you make and how much your rent is, how much time it would take for you to gain like 5% down would be 6 years. If assuming rent didn't change and, you know, your income didn't change, or you could move back home with mom and dad for 4 months and you can make the same amount of money. So their lease ended. They moved back with mom and dad and help them buy a house. And I'm selling mom and dad's house in a few months.
Oh, look at that. Yeah. Wow, look at that.
Yeah.
Mom and dad had such a bad experience. Like, we're not going to house people like that anymore, so we're going to downsize.
No, they had
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. No, they have
like, we're going to go to a 1-bed condo now.
Yeah. But I mean, those are the things, and I'm glad they made that move, too, because, dude, they're so happy now. They got kids and everything. Well, they have a kid. But I think I could speak for them. It's like, I think they made the right choice. And I always tell people too, and this could be like a whole different segment, but like sometimes, because I fucking hate when, this is a whole different thing, but like just talking to you.
Yeah.
I hate when realtors try to push home sales on people when I'm like, dude, this guy has no business like buying a house. Like just rent for 2 years. Yeah. It's cheaper. Like, oh, you're not building equity. It's like, okay, dude, but you're going to live there for like 3 years and your closing costs don't cover everything else and you're gambling on appreciation and stuff. It can go into so many different realms.
Oh, yeah.
But you ever tell people, it's like, dude, don't. I'm asking, do you ever tell people not to buy something and just rent? Because, you know, it's in your best interest if you plan on moving elsewhere. Or, you know, you have a relationship. Maybe you might get married. Is it really worth it having her move into your house or even the other way around?
Yeah. So especially with our age and then 2, living downtown Chicago, I get that a lot because well, also the condo market's a little bit more volatile than the suburbs, single family, traditionally market.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I'm constantly cautioning clients, like, yeah, if you're not going to be somewhere, a lot of agents will tell you like 2 or 3 years. I'm like, if you're not going to be somewhere for 4 or 5 years, don't buy this. Yeah. Like, yeah, if you're, you know, recently engaged or something and you guys don't think you'll be here for that long, you're going to pop out a kid or 2 and get to the burbs in like 2-3 years. I'm sorry, you're going to probably just want to try and rent for a little bit unless we get something that's purely going to be an investment that you hold on to and then move out to the burbs after that. Like, yeah, I constantly will have to walk people through that because you're right. There's a lot of agents who will just kind of try to push and get that check, and they don't care if in 2 years they're getting that listing, but the seller's bringing a check to the closing, which doesn't happen traditionally too often recently, but that kind of market will come back too, you know? So yeah, I'll constantly have to say that stuff. But again, you know, fortunate to put myself in a position to be able to do that outside of just being a good person
Yeah.
and like a normal, regular human being. Just fortunately, business wise, being able to be there where it's like, yeah, this is not your move. You do not want to transact right now. Sure, I've got to push off on getting a check for a couple of years. I'll take that any day of the week.
Yeah.
Any day.
There's a woman at our salon. I say woman, like she's a kid, but good girl. She's like 22-ish, maybe younger. She asked me a couple days ago, she's like, do I need a realtor in order to do rentals? And I'm over here like, where does my head go? Like, I hate dealing with like renters. Like it's good, don't get me wrong, but like it, this can go like a whole different thing. But I'm like, no, technically you don't need one. But I started asking her some of those questions. I was like, why are you moving? How much cash do you have? Like, are you dating? You getting engaged? Like, what's that look like? And I'm like, yeah, just stay at home, dude. It ain't worth, renting something versus, and we know how much money she makes, I'm not saying it's a lot. I'm not saying it's a little, but I'm like, dude, you're at home. Like, mom cooks awesome meals, I'm sure. Like, you might as well, and it's like, I could have easily made like an cheap, like $500, but what's the point? You know what I mean? I don't think too many people have that conversation. They're like, yeah, let's just do it.
Yeah.
And it kind of annoys me.
I think, yeah, there's a good amount of people who, one, because HGTV doesn't show it,
you really hate HGTV.
I really do.
Yeah, I hate Selling Sunset, but anyways, go for it.
Oh, yeah. See, I haven't even watched that because I refuse to.
Yeah, I just saw the trailer and I'm like, fuck this.
Yeah. But it becomes such a deeply personal experience.
Yeah.
Like, and I think a lot of agents will spin that into a cheesy way where, like, for what you're talking about is definitely what I experience as well, is like, no, but like, I do have to kind of ask these questions though. Like, where do they see themselves in a couple of years? Oh, you just started dating someone, like, not to be weird, but like, how is that kind of going? Like, do you think that could be a thing in a couple of years? Like, I mean, really, like, I'll even have to ask those kind of questions because it's like legitimate though, and I know for some people on the outside that might look like kind of intrusive to be asking for just deciding to rent or buy or sell 4 walls and a roof. But these are big assets we're talking about. Or like if you're younger, 12-month lease is nothing to scoff at though either.
Yeah, you move in, you got 11 months left because you just broke up.
Yeah.
I've seen that before.
Absolutely.
I mean, I've seen it with cell phone bills where people get on someone's plan and then they're like, oh, I want to take my number with, but they can't because the other person owns that number technically. Now imagine the grand scheme of things where you could be homeless for like 11 months.
Yeah.
Or however long, it can get messy.
Absolutely. So yeah, having to ask those kind of like personal questions and dig in, and then just being able to be like confident enough to give people the right advice. Yeah, is huge. But luckily we're both, way past that point.
Well, the other thing too, I think, which is nice, is we're kind of like big brother. So you're a middle child, right?
Yeah.
My sister's 7 years younger than me. So, whether I'm helping out her friends and, I don't know, maybe I'm giving my own self this title. Like, we have 15 plus at the salon, right? Like, most of them I would say are like, if not all of them are actually still in their 20s. You know what I mean? Like the youngest one I think is like 18, 19, right? So that's 11, 12 years on me. It's kind of like that cool uncle, or, I'm going to call myself cool, or just big brother, right? So like that one lady that was asking me for advice, it's kind of like we could do that with our clientele. So if like your little brother, little sister, little brother, yeah, they've got friends that's asking you, it's like, well, you've already lived through this. They see like what you've got going on. You've got your successes. And, I'm over here with the trophy wife, and everyone's like, hey, man, you got all your hands on all this stuff. How'd you guys do it, right? So I think that qualifies us to give proper advice, because I used to think all the time, which we can dive into social media in a second, but I used to think like, who's this guy on TikTok or Instagram trying to give like financial advice? I'm like, oh, he's a fucking realtor. Like, what does he know? I was that hater like 2-3 years ago, and I didn't understand it. But now that I've done so much business and I'm starting to see like where all these problems come through, all these kids graduate college and then they're like, oh, I'm going to buy like a $60,000 car. Great. What's that car payment? 6 years. Oh, cool. So you're 24, add 6 years. They're not buying their first house until they're 30. Oh, I want to buy a house because I've got a kid coming. Oh, shit, I don't have cash on hand. Great. Oh, I'm going to need a new car soon. You know what I mean? So that's why I was asking if you give financial advice to your clients, because those are the conversations that I have, whether they're, ready to buy now, or they say they're ready to buy now and they could do it. But I'm like, can you buy 2 years from now? Now, rates are a different conversation, everything like that. But if it's right for you, it's meant to be. That, I don't know. So that's kind of where I was diving into the whole thing. But I want to go big on advertising. not for ourselves, but like for just clientele in general. Like, I don't know, man. Like, gotta stop saying like.
Yeah, you and me
Video,
both.
yeah, video's huge. I want to go full on video, like higher quality production. Like, I don't know, man, because we already talked about this. It's tough. I want to pick your brain though. How can we go further? I'm just talking to you at this point now.
Yeah.
It's like if we do, I'd like to do a reel or multiple reels. Like, okay, we have a listing, or even how can we do it on the buy side where it's just can't really do high production on the buy side.
What do you mean?
Okay, for like listings, for example, we do our photos, we do the floor plan, the Matterport, all of it. But on the same day, we should most likely be doing a video of, we already know we're going to do an open house, right? So we'll do an open house on a Saturday. We do an open house on a Sunday. So the way I would record it is we do a bunch of B-roll throughout the house. And then you stand in front of the house and we just do a couple intro videos. It's like, hey, listen, this is what $500,000 is going to get you in Gurnee. This is what $500,000 can get you in the summertime of 2023. Like just a bunch of, and the B-roll could be rearranged however you want. You know, people know it's the same damn house. But for most sellers, they're going to be like, wow, this guy really made like 10 videos, you know? But it's just a bunch of fucking B-roll, right? And then from there, it's we can do one on introductions for an open house. Hey, guys, got an open house coming up Saturday. You know, check out the description for the details, you know, and then you just keep reusing the same thing. You've already explained it's a 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom, full basement, whatever. And then the next intro after you just do, hey, check it out on Saturday. Hey, check out our open house on Sunday, you know, but maybe move from like the front to the back. You know what I mean? So it's almost like repurposing video.
Yeah.
But not repurposing video at the same time. It's just, I don't know, but I want to go bigger. I just can't think of an example of how.
Yeah. And were you saying on the buy side?
Across the board.
Yeah.
You know, because even like, for example, like winter times, like, do you have any listings right now?
No,
I don't either. Like mine are all tapped out, but
Yeah.
I've got clients, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but at the same time, it's, just to keep the brand relevant. We want the market share. So what can we do in the wintertime?
I mean, I feel like, well, like traditionally speaking, like most people like transact, you know, spring, summer, fall, you know, not as many people transact in the winter. So I feel like you almost have to play to that a little bit of like,
it's almost like the educational period.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I almost look at it actually just like the business stuff where it's like, okay, like right now I'm not as busy. So that's why I was like, fuck it. Yeah, I'll do my Wisconsin licensing. I'll get the ABR. Like, I'll like do these certification things and designation things. Like, let's work on all that now because I'm not going to have the time for that, you know, later on. So I feel like right now it just has to be so like educational and gearing people up.
Yeah.
You know, especially because most of like, well, I feel like both of our clientele, it's first-time home buyers and then people leveling up.
Yeah, well, I'm starting to get out of the first-time home buyers.
Really?
Naturally. I mean, don't get me wrong, they're my bread and butter. I love them. But a lot of my people now are like, hey, we're starting to have more kids. We need to buy our forever home.
Yeah.
So can we educate people in school?
So
it's got to be worded properly.
Yeah, you got to word it like appropriately. I mean, you can talk about like facts about schools. So, like if schools get like awards or something like that, you know, you can talk about that stuff or where they're ranked according to such and such. Like you can talk about that, but you just can't share like opinions or anything.
So, like for example, the one of the listings, actually the $500,000 that I'm talking about. A lot of people want to go to that school district. I've never, you know, like most people go like, oh, Stevenson High School or Libertyville High. Everyone's hyped around the high schools.
Yeah.
I've never seen people so hyped around a middle school and a fucking elementary school.
Really?
It's nuts, dude. But when you look at Milburn.
Oh, yeah.
When you look at the tax bill, though, you're like, they pay a lot of money there. But I know so many people that are just kind of like, I want the Milburn school district. And there's not a lot of houses there. There's like 4 subdivisions.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, so from like a value proposition standpoint, like, a lot of the sellers in that area are like, make sure you tell them it's Milburn School District. It's like, all right, cool. I'm not going to be that asshole that's just like, hey, it's Milburn School District. But like, what the fuck does that mean? You know, so my thoughts, I can position it. I guess my question to you as managing broker is, can I position it in a way where it's like, this house, Milburn and middle school and elementary school district, like if you live here, you know, it's one of the most sought out like it's an opinion, but it's also fact. Like if you're from the area, you know everyone wants that school.
Yeah.
Can you say things like that or no?
I mean, you can say like highly desirable or like sought after. You can say that kind of stuff, and then
Well, like even beyond that, it's like if you're from here, like like a lot of people want Millburn, or can you not say that?
I mean, if you're from here, you know people want it.
Or like however you butter it
Like,
up. But it's like if you know, it's one of those like if you know, you know. Like
yeah. What I would just do is, like I would almost just focus on like because you got to be able to find some awards or something that they get or where they rank in the state or some shit like that.
True.
Like that's where I feel like that's just even easier to go on. Is like, yeah, this is a part of highly sought after Millburn School District, which is ranked number 7 in the state. For elementary school or like whatever, or they're crushing it. They're on the top 10 for the last 10 years. Yeah. According to whatever, like you can totally do that kind of stuff too.
Yeah. I never thought of it that way.
Yeah. Cause as long as you like revert that stuff back to fact or resource or something, then you're always good. That's a big thing. So like, I think you could get away with saying what you want to say.
Yeah.
As long as then you like, I don't even think you like necessarily have to, I don't think you'd have to even say in your video necessarily, like according to. You could just say, oh yeah, they've been, a top 10 or they're ranked number 7, in the state. And then in the description, on the caption, you could have, according to greatschools.org or whatever it is. Like that's where you could do that.
Gotcha.
It's funny, actually, I think I even just saw, most positive, one of Brandon's that he just did recently was like that, where it was like most sought after communities or,
See, I feel like that's an opinion too.
But he's got it said it like but then like in the description it said like according to such and such.
So essentially I can just make a random website, be like facts.co.co.co.com.
Hey, as long as it's not traced back to you. As long as it's not traced back to us, we're Gucci.
You know what'd be kind of cool though, what we should do is we should really just like brainstorm ideas on camera. I need a huge fucking hard drive, man. I found this one. It's got like you just get like a casing for it, and then you just like slide in these like 20 terabyte hard drives, and you have like 5 of them in there.
My God.
You just like put all the footage on there, dude, and it's just like you start sifting through. I'm sure we're bound to find some like solid shit.
Yeah.
I think it'd be kind of cool.
Wait, so do you mean like when you're talking about just like shooting stuff off like on camera, like we were doing like the other day, like just like ideating of like 100 reels and just like, yeah.
Might as well.
Yeah, right.
I mean, you know how much like good stuff we talk about like off the camera?
Yeah.
Yeah, but once it's pointed at us, we're like, shit, we should just have one on us at all time. Like you wear a GoPro, and then I wear a GoPro.
I mean, it'd be a tough look for us, like personally. Like in the mirror, I wouldn't love it, but from like a content standpoint, I'm all about it.
Yeah,
it'd be cooler if it was like a camera that could like slide in here or something, like police officers like camera or something.
I have a so I've got this like 2K camera. It literally shoots in 2K. It's so small. I gotta bring it, show it. I wore it to Mexico. It was cool, and I pinched it to my hat. There's all these accessories. It had like a hat clip. It's magnetic. You can do all sorts of stuff, but you could reframe a video from horizontal to vertical, and the colors. It's not as vibrant as like a GoPro or like an iPhone or something like that, but it was really cool, man. We were just chilling in the water, having drinks. I think the footage of Mexico is still on there. I haven't even like offloaded it. I'm so bad at that.
It's dangerous.
Yeah, but no, it was good. It was a good time.
No,
man. It was a real good time. But no, it's just, but it's cool looking back at like the raw footage and be like, oh yeah, that was fun. Like, oh, I don't remember that. Maybe I had one too many drinks or something like that. I think I actually had a conversation start. It's so funny, dude. Paige was telling me like a few like years ago, I forgot where she flew. I think she flew to like Texas or something. And she was sitting next to this lady in first class where they were just waiting for the flight. They were sitting next to each other or by each other at like a bar. They're just having a conversation. And they realized they were on the same flight, but they didn't realize they were sitting next to each other. I could be butchering the story a little bit, but she met this woman who, I don't know what she did for a living. I don't remember. She ended up coming to see Paige behind the chair. Some random woman from Schaumburg, like, who was catching a flight home from Texas. Oh, yeah, I do hair. They're just shooting the shit over, like, a mimosa or something like that. And Paige, like, pitched a shot. You know, like, here's my work. Check it out. And you should definitely come through. I'd love to take care of this for you. Come take care of that. I think she still sees her to this day, not, like, as regularly, like, every 8 weeks or something like that. Maybe, like, once a quarter. She was, like, a higher-up businesswoman. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Something about that, like, stuck with me. But we were in Mexico. And everyone there was from Chicago. I was like, oh, hey, like, you guys are white. You're American. Where are you from? Oh, we're from Chicago. Oh, yeah, that's cool. Great. Here's the ultimate question. what part of Chicago are you really from? You know that question.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man, these guys were like from UIC. I'm like, dude, I lived on UIC campus, even though I went to DePaul. And it was, just starting to have those conversations. Yeah, they're in my pipeline. Just random conversation. I might have the footage still.
Yeah.
On that, I gotta like go back to it. But it is cool to just see the raw footage, and it's like, those are the things I watch online, dude. So it'd be cool to have so much useless footage, but to share that with everyone, I think it'd be kind of cool.
Well, yeah, or like seemingly useless. Because
Yeah.
I feel like it depends on like what you're watching. Like, and I feel like you almost from like a video standpoint, and you know this way better than me, but I feel like you have to be like a jack of all trades a little bit, because like you have to be able to do like high production, medium production, and also like just quick, like raw, like production. Because when I find myself like scrolling through and it's like staring at like high production after high production after high production, it just starts like dulling itself down after a while. And then when you see like a raw like video, and even if it's someone like terrible, like just starting off, you're like, oh, I'm actually kind of more genuinely interested in this right now. Like I'll actually watch that a little bit longer, because I can just tell it seems more authentic to me.
Yeah.
And then there's times I watch a boatload of that and I'm like, okay, now I kind of want to nerd out and like see somebody who's like spending good money or like putting a lot of time and value into their craft, and then go back. And
These YouTubers, man.
I just keep going back and forth and back and forth. So I feel like having abundance of both is like, is just the name of the game.
There's these YouTubers that it's like, I was watching, there's this one Canadian guy, everyone in like the film world knows him. When I say film, like YouTuber, he's Peter McKinnon. Do you know anything about like photography or videography or anything like that? This guy is just a normal everyday guy. He worked at like a camera shop, whatever. And he's like, I think I want to be a YouTuber one day. So he just goes all in on just vlogging. But his thing is, he's not, 8K existed, but those cameras were really fucking expensive. 4K existed. He could do 4K, but his Canon cameras would start to overheat after a while. Plus, he's in the cold, like in Canada and stuff. It gets really cold. Back in 2017, he uploads everything in like standard HD, like 1080p. When 4K was like on phones and stuff like that, like recording-wise and everything. Point I'm getting across, though, was like, it was such a vlog style. He's literally holding his camera like this, but the intricate details where he's going from like one location to another was like, oh, cool, slow motion. It looks really cool. But when you talk to him, when you're not really talking, when he talks to you, it was really like authentic. I learned so much just from like him holding his camera, being like, yeah, man, I'm going to like Vancouver for the day. I'm about to, I got to send it to you, man. Cause you'd find a real appreciation for like, wow, I feel like I know this guy. And all he's got is a camera and a shotgun microphone, one of those that you can just literally put on top.
Yeah.
And you just like get to know like all his friends, and a lot of his other friends who are also video creators got really big just because they're now all these creators in Canada. Just one guy loves snowboarding. This guy I'm talking about loves like sea-doos and like boats and pirates. It makes no sense, and it's really weird, but something that I've realized through the power of video was you can actually just feel like you get to know these people. And then like when they start doing like behind the scenes, which is like really a weird concept to think about. These guys got to a point where some of them they were photographers, and they're like, I'm starting to realize photography's dead. That they were like, I need to start getting into video. So they start kind of teaching each other. Like, so imagine me like teaching you a little bit about video. You know how to record a video, but it's like those little details and stuff. They would all like go on like one big trip, and they're all recording their own different things. And it's cool to like see everything on each other's channels on like their point of view. Cause they're like, Peter would hold the camera. Then like Lizzie would hold the camera. And it's like, dude, they're all on the same day, but you see what I'm saying? Like they all get to like see everyone's different point of view. They're all staying in different hotel rooms, but how do they all start their day to get to their boat day and stuff like that? I don't know. It's just kind of cool, man. But like, even though I have nothing to do with like the film space, it is kind of cool from like a, when I need to learn something, like I'll look up like how to do something in Premiere, how to do something in like After Effects, or how to do this with my camera. I find them so credible because I feel like I know them through just like, oh, they wake up same time of day as I do, or like they drink the same coffee, or they drive the same cars. Oh, they're just normal people with like the same camera. I can afford that camera. Like, I don't know. It's just I'm trying to find a way to like revolve that into like the real estate realm. Yeah, it's like real estate. It's kind of like in the film space, anyone can buy a camera. So they're just everyday people. But for us, it's like we're actually selling a product and a service that not everyone can afford. So it's kind of hard, you know, but I'm trying to find like that bridge of that value proposition into real estate. I know I'm just rambling at this point, but it is kind of like we need to sell our personality kind of a realm, if that makes any sense. And that's my mission.
No, 100% it makes sense. And it's funny that you like share that about like the video people that you follow, because I have the exact same experience, but with golf YouTubers.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there with my iPad the other night, my laptop, and my fiance is sitting on the couch next to me, and she's like, "What are you watching?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm watching some golf YouTubers." And she's sitting there staring at it for like another 30 seconds.
Yeah.
They're just playing golf. I'm like, no, I know, but like they film it all and like they're pretty good. They're kind of funny too.
Yeah.
And then another 30 seconds goes by and she's like, "Why the fuck are you watching? You golf. Why? You're just watching somebody do it now." And I'm like, that's so like, no, you don't get it. And then like the more I thought about it, I'm like, oh, that's so interesting. Cause like you do, and it sounds so weird, but like,
no, I get it. It's no different than kids watching other kids play video games.
Yeah, but like you do like connect with those people, and you're like, oh yeah, like this guy, you know, goes, like has like the same like swing problem I do, or this dude, you know, has a characteristic that's kind of similar to me, and like, and then they do behind the scenes stuff too, of like because they fly over the world to golf and all that and do that shit. So like it's the same kind of thing where it would just make sense, from like a real estate perspective, like who else is doing that? And this might be dead wrong, but I'm just thinking about it now in the moment as you were talking. Like, I feel like real estate video wise is like uber high production, and like it's like HGTV, or it's like quick like edited reels with like drones and everything and crazy, and all that stuff is good.
Yeah.
But like who's actually putting on something like entertaining that's not like overly quirky and stupid? Because there's also that, I feel like, on Instagram too, where I see like some like agents who like take like all they do is like funny like voiceover kind of stuff. I'm like, okay, like this isn't, there's like no basis of like wanting to watch this, because you could swap it out with anything. Like real estate's not a part of this at all. But there's definitely a space for that, and I feel like maybe it might be, because we've actually talked about this before, and this is just completely off the cuff, but we talked about how real estate is so far behind on technology.
Dude, totally.
That like, I feel like when it comes to like video and all that, like real estate is still in like the cable news phase and like all that.
Yeah.
And it's like they've missed the boat by like 10, 15 years of like the streaming side of things.
Yeah.
And like the YouTuber kind of like business model a little bit, and just, or even just exposure, not even the business model. And so I feel like there's definitely a good space there for that. And I got to imagine the video YouTubers you were talking about before are the same as like the golf YouTubers I follow, where when you go back to their earliest videos possible, they looked like they were filmed with a potato.
Yeah.
And they look fucking terrible.
Yeah.
But they started somewhere.
So you know the thing though, I'm willing to guarantee your golf video guys, send me a link, because I want to do some research and dive in. All these people with those channels that you're willing to watch today, unless you started following them with like 500 followers or whatever, they all know a little bit something about video. They have to know something about it. Like, so for example, like with the media company with like photography, I know how to edit photography, right? But I haven't done it in so long. Like I'll shoot the photos, but I don't edit them anymore. I'm losing my touch, but I know the theoretics behind it, that if I see something wrong, it's like, use this tool and fix it out for me. Their technique would be better than me, but I don't care about that anymore, because I've evolved into something different, you know, or like branched off, you know. But I think that's, did you watch? I haven't watched it yet. Netflix. You know how like they have like a golf documentary about?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I haven't seen that yet, but they started with a tennis one first, and I was all in on it, dude. And a lot of people don't know this, and I'm kind of speculating, but I'm pretty positive. There's a Greek tennis player who's like he was top 10. Tour life is so boring, I'm sure with golf too. It's like you lose a round, you jump on a plane, and you're doing the same thing next week. You do your practice, you play your tournament, let's just hope it goes far. And if not, you're flying to the next location and you repeat it. And it's so exhausting that they hate traveling so much. But this Greek guy was like, dude, I love photos. I love this. Like I always catch myself on like Instagram scrolling through these things, but he's like, I never take the time to like explore New York while I'm in New York. It's all like, I need to win this open, $3 million in prize money. I just need to do he's just enjoying it. He's like, dude, I already have money. Like I'm enjoying it. You know what I mean? But he documented like the behind the scenes, him at the hotel room, him getting like his massages and his stretches and just all that stuff, like what he eats for dinner. I want to know all this shit just because it's cool, right? And I don't like his style of play. I think he's really annoying on tour, but from his video aspect, this guy edits his own stuff. Like you could tell, like he's not sending it to like an editor. Maybe now he is, but I appreciated that. Like, I'm like, dude, why is your iPhone so fucking unstable? Like, get a gimbal, get this, get that, and I don't know, man. I'm willing to bet like your golf people are the same way.
Oh, a good amount, 100%. I know for sure there's a handful of them that started off when they
or at
were
least
like
one of them had
kids. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's literally one of them that like started off, and then another one like from like a different group came from like a media company beforehand, so they were used to like old school vlogging, all that kind of shit. But yeah, definitely one of them started like YouTubing as a kid with like the crappiest camera possible, and then like built up like all this big stuff from it too. And then like everybody else has kind of like emulated it now and probably doesn't have too much to do with it, but just like you said, they at least are dangerous enough to know a little bit, or at least like the concepts they can talk about, not like the specifics of like how to actually make it happen.
Something I want to do, which is like just throwing it out there, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But we probably do, but we don't want to spend the budget on like having a whole camera crew follow you around, because it's kind of funny. Like I've heard this before. Like people are like, my life's not all that interesting. Not me personally, but other people have said that. And they're like, dude, I'd follow your ass with a camera crew. And I think it'd be cool to watch, you know, because I'd rather watch that than like a movie on Netflix. I already know how it's going to end. The guy and the girl gets together and then cool. It's like a Hallmark movie, right? Oh, scary movie? Yeah. Everyone but the main character dies at the very end. It's like, I already know what's coming, but it would be cool to get into the lives of people that I know and I watch. So our reels are going to be high production. High production to an extent. You know, I want to get the quantity out there. And certain things are going to be of quality, like our listing videos and stuff like that. But it would be cool, because I've seen people go like, what do you really do as a real estate agent? Like, oh, you also own a salon. What do you do? Like, how do you record houses and things like that? People have asked like what I do. And with all the shit you do in the city, dude, you got to like start recording like from where you are to where you're going. And I don't know, like it's easy to like not do it because you're having fun. But I think the more people can relate to you in that aspect. So like Vegas, dude, you know, it's like if we could take the time to be like, all right, cool, dude, we got to record this. We got to record that. All right, we could put it away and have some fun. I think a lot of people would relate to it and be like, oh, dude, I've been to Vegas. That's cool. Like,
oh, yeah.
I think it just opens the door to more avenues.
Absolutely. Especially like and I might be biased because obviously we're in the industry, but it's like, especially in our industry where so much of it is like cookie cutter, highlights, like upper echelon of like everything, just the success side of stuff, never the failures, never like the stuff we consider like mundane and boring. Like that's never thrown out there. So it just having it raw out there, I think would be pretty interesting for people to be able to like actually get a peek on and see, because there's so much weird shit that we deal with in this industry. Like,
but I want people to see exactly what it is.
Yeah, I mean, there's such an opening and space for it, I feel like, because of just like the raw like experience of what it is. Because again, like there's, you know, the selling sunsets, there's, you know, I see a lot of agents on Instagram, TikTok, whatever, of like just like the drone shots and the super high level. And it's like, yeah, but what does it actually look like?
Yeah.
You know, I even found myself like, I think like a month or two ago, looking at this YouTuber who is like an attorney in the UK. And literally it was like, this is what a 9-to-5 looks like as a attorney in the UK. And I was like, I'll watch it for a second.
Yeah.
I've watched like 15 minutes of it.
You know, I think
it's so weird.
It's kind of funny. Like for me, I'd love to do YouTube. Not because it's like, oh, I want to like be an influencer and all that shit. Like, it looks fun. Don't get me wrong, but I just love like I've had people ask like, hey, can you shoot reels for me? Oh, we should do a podcast. And like some people I'm like, dude, I don't. Without sounding like a dick, I'm like, we have nothing in common. what the fuck am I going to talk to you about for like an hour? You know, no, I could give them the time of day, but it's like podcasts are like passion projects to me. So it's like, if I find it interesting, cool. But I don't want to record a whole thing and then be like, dude, this isn't even worth my time. And then they sat here for an hour and they're expecting something. So I'd be like, dude, I'm gonna charge you to do it. As jerkish as that sounds, but they love the reels they're like, oh, it'd be cool to be a part of it, you know? But I think for myself, it would be cool to just record it and then just be like, this is what January looks like. This is what a week looks like. Because a day in the life is so scripted. You know what I mean? Like we find some funny stuff and we have some funny conversations, but that's like 15 minutes out of a whole day. Yeah. It's like my commute's not very interesting except for the asshole that cut me off in traffic and I'm talking shit for 30 seconds, but you can't really hear it because it's like, you know, you got the metal music in the background.
I love your train videos though.
Yeah, that's kind of been like a funny do you know why I keep that going?
No.
Because people they're like, oh, that's funny. Oh, again. It's like just like an attention whore, you know? It's like, hey, like, cool, dude. Yeah, like, oh, yeah, I run into houses. Oh, cool. Like, let's move you from that train stop, you know? Like, it's, that's why I do it. But yeah. Actually, yes. You see yesterday's video? Oh yeah, you liked it. Yeah, with Paige. Like, oh yeah, dude. It's so funny because I bitch about that.
I knew it was coming too. I knew it.
You recognize the car?
Oh yeah.
But no, I complain about that all the time. Paige complains about stuff like that all the time too. She's like, oh, this, like, she'll I'm guilty of it too. It's like so we were like, oh yeah, this guy's riding my ass, you know. But it's like a day later, it's like, oh fuck this guy, like he's got to move over. It's like, dude, we were just doing that to someone else yesterday. You know what I mean? Yeah, but I don't know. It just proves my point of like being excited about social media for me. I want people to understand, 'cause with what we have our lives in, you know, people are like the salon and this stuff and the media side, like someone out there wants to see it. And for me, if it's fun editing it, why not?
Oh yeah.
You know, so if people find that much joy in just that little story for 5 seconds, it'd be cool to make like a 15-minute video and yeah, maybe something happens, something doesn't, but it's an excuse to fly the drone around. And yeah.
Well, I feel like what's the downside? Nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, like that's where so many, and this is where I feel like we've gotten to the places we are at this point, and we'll get to the places that, you know, we will, because so much of it's like, dude, what's the downside to this? Nothing. Yeah. Fuck it, we're doing it. Like, why not? Exactly. Like, okay, worst case scenario is kind of a waste of time, but we learned something out of it. Yeah.
I wish I recorded more while I lived in the city. With you living down there, dude, people love. That's the one thing. Like, so Sky, I showed you his. I didn't know you were following him.
Yeah.
Dude, I watch his stories all the time. He probably posts like sometimes 1 a day, sometimes like 6 a day if he's working on a project or something. But he makes such cool shit that I want to see like the behind the scenes. I'm like, I have that drone. I'm just too lazy to drive 50 miles to like get that shot and pay for parking. I'm like, you live there, man. Like, what else do you do? You know, and he's a firefighter. Like, he'll like record random stuff, like doing drills and shit. And I'm like, that is so cool. But I'm like, what's so cool about the burbs? What do we got? Like a Independence Grove with like a 2-foot waterfall, like big whoop. You know what I mean?
See, I feel like you would think that though, but I think people want what they can't have, right? So I feel like
you want the burbs.
I'm not saying that just yet. Not, for the record, not saying that just yet. Good call out. But having said that, no, I mean, like, people are interested in what they don't get exposed to.
That's true.
So I do feel like, you know, people who are living in the suburbs, they would love to see like some like city content. And then people in the city, like, that's what they see every single day is walking by high rises and all this stuff. Like, to them, it's just like a concrete, you know, jungle. That's what they're used to. But then, like, seeing, like, the cooler side of the suburbs, even though it might not feel like it to you, I mean, it's going to entertain somebody, you know? And so I think that's the cool, like, kind of dynamic I feel like we have, you know, between, like, me being downtown, you being in the suburbs, you know, me doing city and suburbs, you doing suburbs, and then up to Milwaukee, too. Like, we just have all these intangibles that we can just throw at the wall and see what sticks. Yeah. And it's going to be entertaining to somebody. Yeah. It's just, you know, figuring out the time to go and do all of it and knock it out.
Another thing, too, that I was thinking about was the worst part is, like, if I was like, hey, dude, like, you're going to a Bulls game. You went to a Bulls game a couple days ago, right? Yeah. It's like, do me a favor. Just document from the time when you're getting ready to when you're finally there, and then just record what happens at the end. Did they win? I'm assuming they lost.
Yeah, they
lost. They fucking lost.
Yeah.
Go figure.
Yeah.
But the hard part for you was like, oh, dude, I don't want to hold my phone the whole time, and it's gonna be shaky. Is it even worth it? You should get one of those Pocket 3s, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I showed it to you.
Yeah.
It's
Send me the link.
It's like this. It's on back order. I think mine just got mailed after
okay.
a month. Actually, no. Yeah, I'll send you a link. It's like $500.
Yeah.
But to actually be able to like whip that out and be like, it's not as intrusive as like a whole vlog camera. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like a iPhone and a gimbal. It's like, who's this douchebag holding this thing? You know. But it's more so like, I don't care about that. It's the setup time, and it's like, oh, it's another thing I need to carry. Do I need to carry a backpack now and shit like that?
Yeah.
But
well, there's so much of that too that like we were joking about this before as well. Like when like the country club that my fiance and I just joined, and we're at like this boxing and bourbon tasting event too. Like there's like all this cool stuff going on around, and you know, we get to have some drinks, get a full meal. We got some friends there, and then they set up in a boxing ring in like this really nice like dining room looking area. And get home at the end of the night. I'm like,
that's a dining room?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
that's the room that we're getting our reception's going to be in.
Oh, no shit.
And like we'll be there with like 250 people. But yeah, like they did it in like that kind of room. We're all like eating dinner, and then there's dudes just going at each other, like boxing in there.
Sweat flying across
the room. Dude, yeah, it was wild. And then I get to the end of the night, and I'm like, I took one like photo basically the entire night. And I'm like, that would have like not in a braggadocious or like arrogant way, but like that would have looked so cool to like show people like that kind of stuff. Because I feel like in my circles, even I run in, I have so many people who are like, wait, you're a part of a country club downtown Chicago?
Sounds badass.
How does that work? Yeah. Like, what? There's no golf, there's no tennis. Oh my gosh, how much money is that? Like, that's crazy. It's like, no, it's none of those things. Yeah. One, it's not actually as expensive as you think. Two, like, yeah, there's no golf or this or that there, but this is actually how it works. They got reciprocity agreements with people out in the burbs, so you can go play clubs out there that are private. Like, there's all these other things there that, like, just even something like small like that alone, I'm like, yeah, people would enjoy learning more about that kind of stuff.
Is it open
24/7? Is what?
Is it open like 24/7? Well, it's a hotel, right?
Yeah. So it's partly like a hotel. So I believe like they got like front door staff and everything there 24/7. Now all like the restaurants and like the cafe and all that's definitely not open 24/7. But I think like the athletics, gym, sauna, like all that stuff is pretty much open 24/7.
So like if
much
we got a pass and we're just like having fun at like the Chris Crindle Market or whatever that's called, and then that thing it's nearby, right? It's like like a few blocks away, and we're just like, damn, dude, we need to take a dump. So it's like that place is open at like 1 a.m. It's like, hey man, here's my key card, and I'm gonna use the public bathroom there.
Yeah, probably.
Awesome,
probably. Yeah, I'd probably just give you my member number and you could slide right in.
Oh shit, there we go. It's funny because I was talking to some of my friends. My friends are like, how many toilets do you have in between here and work? And I was thinking about it. I was just like, because they're like Black Friday. They're like, what happens like when you know nothing's open? You got to take a leak halfway home. I'm like, well, we're in Lake Villa. We have 3 toilets in our house. My in-laws have 2 toilets in Grays Lake. We got the other salon we could stop at, which is like a few blocks away. Then it's like, oh, we got this salon right here with 2 toilets. And it's like, I'm renting one here. No, it's just a funny joke. But
yeah, you ever get into an emergency, you're not going to be in too much of a pinch.
No, dude. Yeah. Just you know, we got shaker bottles in the car, I'm sure, just filling up. Yeah. But no, it's you know, that's like one of our things though. It's like we had with all the travel that we did, and I love like just call it filmmaking essentially at the end of the day, but like just it was we did so much, and I love recording like snowboarding videos. I brought my drone, but you can't. They're I didn't know this. They're national parks. You can't fly over them. It's a no-fly zone. You can, but they monitor it. So if they see like a UAV going up, which is a drone essentially, unmanned air vehicle or whatever, aircraft vehicle, they'll see where it started. Obviously, you're not going to move from where you started flying the drone. The cops will come by the time you get your footage. So it's not like I can put a drone over, you know, like you need the permission for it and stuff. So, and then on top of that too, like, I'm just having a good time, man. So I didn't record anything. Like I got a little video of Paige going down skiing and stuff like that, but none of it of me. That would have been fun. In Japan, I was just having a good time visiting family I haven't seen in like 10 years, you know, so I barely recorded any of that. Barely recorded like Well, I recorded some of like pages like first times on like a bullet train or this, but it's just like little Snapchats. You know what I mean? I'm like, damn, looking back, I wish I did it with a purpose. So I had like a wedding video, like that's done with purpose. I can sit there and watch that for 10 minutes. You know what I mean? We had a guy fly a drone in Dominican Republic. I'm like, yo, that's badass. Oh, there's footage of us. That's badass. But yeah, we went to Vegas. It was 130 degrees. I was like, nah, fuck this, dude. I'll come back to Vegas another time. Like, I'll record this. You know what I mean? Random trips to like Minnesota. There's nothing to do, but landscape wise, it looks cool. But the point I'm getting across is with all that like travel, I wish I had something to look back on. It was fun. It was, you know what I mean? But like, it'd be cool to like have something to share with myself, kids in the future, family. Like, oh, how was that? Oh, here, watch this video. You know what I mean? I think it'd be kind of cool. My mom's always like, what are you up to all the time? And she's like, oh, I watch your videos, but all I see is you in front of a chair. And I can't relate to it because I'm not buying a house. I'm like, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So I think I'm changing my mindset from like actually being in the moment to being like, let's document the moment, yet you could always put it away and still have fun in other times too.
Yeah.
You know?
That's literally what I was just thinking of is it's getting comfortable at the balancing act of both of them, because I'm very much a in the moment kind of person. Yeah. I don't like, especially on like a vacation or if I'm somewhere cool that's like interesting to me.
Yeah.
I don't like getting distracted with a bunch of other things. I'm just about that one singular thing in the moment.
Yeah,
and I've been trying to work on that too, of like, to me, I get so annoyed when I like see someone and they're like out like doing this, like taking like selfies or like walking around with the stick, the cameras and all that. I'm like, oh, like that's so annoying. Like I want to take like the stick and just snap it.
But I'm watching their YouTube videos.
Bingo.
Yes, exactly.
And that's where I start coming full circle, because I'm like, ugh, like that's so to me, for some reason, it's so annoying to see in person. But then I find myself watching that kind of content though. So like, where's that happy medium?
Yeah.
And I think you're kind of nailing it. Like, I think you just have to start leaning into filming it more and more.
Yep.
And kind of push it a little bit, get comfortable and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And then, you know, if you feel like you're killing too much time, okay, then put it away. Obviously enjoy the in-person experience.
Yeah.
I don't want to be glued to the Black Mirror all day.
Yeah.
But having said that, like, you got to have something to kind of bring back.
Something to show for it.
Yeah. And especially if you can, like, what's helped me wrap my mind around it is scaling it outside of just myself. You know, like yeah, this would be cool to like show kids someday, or like show my family,
right.
Or, oh, I know so-and-so will get a kick out of this. You know, like, people couldn't come on this trip. They would love to see this. Like, just being able to have that kind of stuff on hand, and also on top of that, selfishly be able to look back at it too.
Yeah.
But that like helps me rationalize it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Is like, yeah, this is not just for me though. This is for somebody else. Like, I know my fiance will get a big kick out of this stuff too, and having this documented.
Yeah, she probably watch. I know. I always see like, I always hear my wife's always watching like TikToks. She has this terrible habit, and if she watches this, it'll be funny as shit. She has we eat dinner in the living room, right? We have like a big living room in the basement. We also have like these 2 chairs in front of a fireplace in the true living room. It's like a living room dining room combination in a townhouse. I'll put on the TV because I know she won't turn it on. She'll come home, just start scrolling TikToks and shit, because she doesn't have her phone all day. Like, she's too busy doing stuff, right? So she'll scroll social media and stuff. And she'll literally turn on the TV. Or I'll turn on the TV, like, here you go, change the channel, whatever you want. And then she'll be like, all right, cool. So she'll start scrolling Netflix and be like, she can't find anything. And then she'll get a notification on her phone, whether it's the security cameras at the salon or like a social media. But when she picks up her phone, she'll be diving in everything, right? And she'll come across one of my reels that I post. I'm like, oh my God, is that what my voice sounds like? Like, ew, it's disgusting. Or I'll talk about some shit and she'll probably like, not like make fun of it, but she goes like, dude, like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? But yeah, man. Like, and I tell her, like, she should do stuff like that too. So in those conversations where I'm like hearing myself awkwardly like talk, you know, because I hate my own reels, man. I don't watch my own shit. I was telling her like she should get comfortable recording herself, but she's got associates now that she pays hourly to like, but she's teaching them. So this is a million thoughts here going in at once, but it's relaying to you. Again, this caffeine's kicking in. Just like what you said about Lisa, I'm like, Paige, you have 3 people that's helping you with all this stuff. You should have somebody recording you Now, whether it's like just one of her associates, like on a slower day, like whoever the newest person is, it's like, dude, do me a favor, just record this, but pay attention to what I'm teaching you too, because they're not fully hands-on yet, you know? And she could take that raw footage and like repurpose it. She's got, we were just talking about this yesterday, 2,999 followers on Instagram alone.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, but who cares though? Those are genuine people that she can call every single one of them. You know, most of them are clientele. Some are like, other educators around the country. Some people are salons that she currently teaches for, some of her staff. But man, if she did what we're trying to do, dude, she can blow up so quick.
Yeah.
But she doesn't want to. Like those little reels that I make, she won't take the time. She'll be like, dude, I just want to get from point A to point B. Oh, you're stopping to like record again. It's like, that's what's kind of discouraged me from like doing, and I get it, you know, it's like, we drove from here all the way to Colorado. The first time I took her to the mountains, and I'm like, dude, I just want to pull over and like have you see like what everything looks like. She'd be like, no, I just want to get there. I'm like, we can't pull over for a second and like just fly the drone in the air. You know, like she would have a problem with that because I know how much time it takes. So it's almost like, I think if we go to Vegas and Bridget comes with you and she sees what we're trying to do, if we like go full send on it, plan everything, we got to record this, and they make their jokes or whatever. But if they see what the final product looks like, I can see her being like, oh, you want me to record that for you? Or Paige might go like, maybe I should pay someone to like do this at the salon. Cause
oh yeah,
we have the budget to do it. I just don't think she doesn't have enough information of like what filmmaking looks like and what it could turn into. She just sees the final product.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like even like going to the gym, like, dude, she's been working out for years. She's like, what gets my lats again? I'm like, dude, like this movement. Oh yeah, okay, cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it'd be cool, man, if she could just get someone to like record her process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's doing that stuff as a group, you know, and getting like comfortable doing that kind of stuff.
We're gonna be made fun of a lot.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. But the thing is, it's nice when you're an individual with no shame, you know?
Yeah. I got some shame.
Yeah. Like no pride, no shame on the line.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, to me, it's interesting. Like I think it's from like the capturing content kind of standpoint. That's been like the thing for me that's been like the most difficult to like wrap my mind around. Getting like on camera, like the comfortability of any of that, I really never had to work on. Like obviously I'm polishing how to do it better and better. But like
this is different though from your buyer presentation videos.
Sure. Oh, definitely.
I've seen the edits and I'm like, oh dude.
Yeah. Oh, those rough, you saying?
Well, I mean, we trimmed them out.
Yeah.
Like when you first got on, it was rough. Yeah.
Oh, I bet. Yeah. And I feel like it's also like a pacing kind of thing of like,
yeah.
And also whether you're reciting stuff or not too.
That's
like,
different. Yeah, that's true.
That's the other thing of like, I feel like, and that might be why we always feel like we're lazy and we throw stuff off the cuff. But I feel like it's also when we're at our best though too, because we know enough like to get the job done and what we need to do. You know, it's just like I feel like when you like force something through, it's like just trying to like hammer in a wedge.
I think our biggest skill set now that I think about everything is we're so personable. Is that a word? Personable?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right? Yeah. I was like, wait, it sounded wrong. Yeah. We're so personable that that's how we're able to get shit done. If we had to structure everything, which we are good, we're good outliners, winging it.
Sure.
If that's the best way to put it. Probably not something I want to tell people, but that's our biggest skill set.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, when you're in, you know, an industry or setting up businesses that are constantly pivoting and moving around,
that's true.
Kind of have to, man. The tectonic plates are always kind of shifting a little bit. So fuck, you got to go shift with them.
Yeah.
God, there's been a part of me that I have purposefully not watched any of those buying process videos.
Yeah.
Like I remember like leaving there and I'm like, that didn't go that well, I don't think.
I've uploaded. I think I sent them to you.
Yeah, you did.
You just didn't want to watch them.
Nope.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny though. I tell people all the time, like when I used mine, I was like, I made this in 2020. It's 2022, but then it's so cheesy. But I was so embarrassed of the final product, but I like the quality of it. I thought it was so cool. I'm like trying to color grade everything too. And I'm just like, nah, dude, this is such shit. But I look back now and people are like, dude, your reels are so much better than that product video, but the knowledge was so good. And they're like, yeah, I fast forwarded through some of it, but they're like, yeah, it was helpful. So, but yeah, I tell people all the time, like, yeah, dude, I haven't seen that video in like 4 years, 3 years. So don't judge. It just got the job done. They're like, oh, okay, cool. But it saved me time.
Yeah, there you go. And hey, you can always reshoot and do stuff, later on. But it's volume 1, whatever.
Yeah, that's the best way to put it. It's volume 1.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Something to build on.
Yeah.
Take that all day.